Hello and welcome back to another exciting episode of Red Dot Forum Camera Talk. I am your host, David Farkas, joined as always by my co-host, Josh Lehrer.
Good evening, everybody.
Over there,
Yes.
in the little box, we've got Jose Rivera producing the show and taking your questions. So, in that spirit, what are we talking about tonight, Josh?
Yes, so every 10 episodes, we divert from our usual amazing, informative, and inspirational topic to do an Ask Us Anything.
Yep.
And that is the opportunity for us to open the floor to questions about anything Leica, or Red Dot Forum, or Leica Summaron-M, or photography.
Life in general?
Life in general. How you doing? You know, what'd you have for breakfast?
Josh, why is the sky blue?
That's something about dust particles. We are a little behind schedule because this is actually episode number 95.
Wow.
We've been doing the show for over 6 years, and
Amazing.
in those 6 years, we've done 95 episodes.
Wow.
Hopefully, we get to 100 before the year is over, if all things go as planned.
I think so.
So yes, we solicit your questions over the course of the week. If you want to be able to participate in that, make sure you sign up for our newsletter.
Link in the description.
Yes, the Leica Store Miami newsletter.
Yep.
That will ensure you get those emails when we are sending out the good word and having you submit questions, because we do prioritize the questions that get submitted in advance over the ones that come in the chat. So we're going to answer those first, and then we will get to as many of the questions as we possibly can.
Yes. It's also hard to believe that we've done now, this is our 9th Ask Us Anything,
I know.
Which is amazing. It's not as fun as the Ocho, but, you know, it's the Nuevo.
And the fact that you still have questions after 9 of these, that we haven't answered them all yet.
And I think, to be fair, and people say, well, why are you doing this Ask Us Anything again? Because time has passed. In 10 episodes, that's a good amount of time, at least for us, because we do about an episode a month. So that means that, you know, almost a year has passed since we've done this, and a lot's changed in the Leica landscape. And I think there's a lot of, certainly a lot of opportunity for fresh questions.
Yeah, apparently so. So
Apparently
a
so.
couple of things. Number one, if you have a question, throw it in the chat. We will obviously get through the submitted questions and then just start knocking out questions from the chat. Now, the topic of the show is Ask Us Anything. Ask us anything. It's not answer anything. It's ask us anything. So you are free to ask us whatever you want, but there are certain topics we will not be able to get into, whether it's something totally outside the scope of Leica and photography. We also do not get into what and if, how questions, what coming next, what's Leica going to do with this and that and future products and firmware, and we don't know. So we don't speculate. You know, if you want to be entertained by that, watch our wish list episode from
a while ago.
I think 2 Decembers ago.
I think we should do that again, though.
We will. Yeah. I spilled a beer in that episode. It was great.
You really did.
But so yes, if you ask a question like, what's the next XYZ Leica, we're not going to answer it because we don't know, and that's not what the show is about. And a couple things to know.
What else?
What is our next show? So we always try to I feel like we
Oh,
forget to
no.
tell them.
What is our next show?
I'll look at it before.
Yeah, we'll check it
out. So I think we should just get started, and Jose has a daunting task ahead of him, both monitoring the questions that we already have and then ones that are coming in.
I see questions coming in.
That's
here,
great.
So.
Yeah.
Yep,
Let's go.
we are ready.
Yes.
Okay. Start with the first one. All right. I recently bought the reissued 28mm Summaron-M, and I'm very happy with the character and a small size for daylight street photography. The beautiful black painted brass lens shade garners a lot of comments and compliments. Many people ask if it's a film camera because it looks so old-timey, but my question is if you have any advice on securing the shade.
Yeah.
Okay.
The short answer is no. So
You have
the Summaron lens shade, which I do have here, we can do an overhead view. And it's like, it is inspired by the original one. So one of the quirks of buying a Leica Classic Series lens is that it is based on a vintage lens, and the construction and sort of accessory ecosystem for vintage lenses is much different than what we have today. And Leica does try to stay faithful to that. So the hood for the Summaron has just a little screw here, which is how it attaches, and you just kind of, I can't really do this with on camera. Here we go. Just kind of attaches like that. So no, I'm not aware of any way to get this on tighter. It's pretty good if you tighten it down enough. Personally, given the fact that the hood essentially doubles the size of the lens, I can't say that I ever use it. I think one of the coolest aspects of the Summaron is just how incredibly small it is. It's like barely bigger than a body cap. And you're right, the look is gorgeous. I've seen some amazing photographs with this lens. And it's actually one of the few silver chrome brass lenses in the regular lineup. They don't really do much of that anymore. So short answer is, I'm not aware of a way to secure it more. I think it's pretty good. In reality, I think you should just put the hood in the bag and use the lens in its most minimal configuration. Next question.
Cool.
Okay. I think the frame lines, hold on, sorry, 1 second. I think the frame lines on the M3 50mm lens were the best ever. Were they ever duplicated on film or digital?
Well, not in the way that you're thinking. Number one, because the M3 has no meter, the frame lines can be structured differently. You know, any modern M that has a light meter at the bottom is going to have that break. The M3 frame lines came around a lot further. They had the rounded corners, which Leica kind of got away from. What I would say is, if you want a modern digital M to feel more like an M3 in terms of the magnification of the finder, to make those 50mm frame lines really fill the whole image, put on a 1.25x or a 1.4x viewfinder magnifier, and that'll get you closer to that. Yeah. But the M3 definitely occupies a very unique space in terms of the frame lines because it only had those 3 and a high mag.
And also the lines are pretty thick,
Yes.
rounded, and they're very
They're cool.
Yeah.
It's very unique, and I don't think I'd want Leica to do that. I think it's cool that the M3 is sort of unique in that way.
All right.
Sure.
The next one is kind of like a two-part question. So what is the best 3-lens combo for low light and the best 3-lens M-lens combo lightweight?
Best.
Oh, we love that. Best.
For low light, the other one is lightweight. So
Oh boy, for M lenses, right?
Yes, M lenses, yeah. What would you do, David? Take us where you would like.
So first of all, I mean, listen, if we were going hog wild, you could certainly. Well, okay. Let me back up. Is budget a concern whatsoever, or are we like just going?
I would
crazy?
say just go
crazy.
limits.
Okay. I mean, I guess you could say 35 Noctilux would be a great lens to center around. You could add a 28 Summilux for something a little wider. If you can track it down, maybe you could get a 24 Summilux, which they don't make anymore. It wasn't super well loved. The 28 by comparison, though, is a much, much stronger lens. So if we were just like trying to get high performance, I'd say the 28 Summilux, 35 Noctilux, or the 35 Summilux. Both are exceptionally good lenses. You should check out our episode on the 35 Noctilux because Josh did a lot of head-to-head testing between those two lenses for this very discussion. And really, it's half a stop difference. And it's not just about that half stop of light. Certainly in the digital age, there's a look difference between the Noctilux and the Summilux. So I highly recommend checking it out. Not now, but after.
Later,
you can do that.
2 hours from now.
So I'd say 35 Noctilux or Summilux. You could certainly throw the 50 Summilux in that conversation. You could throw the 50 Noctilux in that conversation. But you're talking about a much heavier kit when you start adding up all these fast glass. And then I think on the long end, I'd say you have it over there, the 75 Summicron. I think personally I would take as a low light lens option for that, for telephoto, maybe over the 75 Noctilux, only, again, for size and carry convenience. If really what you're looking for is just low light and not look, right? If we were just going straight look, maybe 35 Noctilux and 75 Noctilux would be pretty incredible, actually, for doing portraits, environmental portraits, in lower light situations. But I'd say for general walk-around photography, if I could only, let's say, just pick two of those, I'd say 35 Summilux, latest one, and 75 Summicron would get you a pretty good low light kit in these days.
Yeah.
And then what was the second part, Jose?
Lightweight.
A lightweight kit.
Yeah.
I would say the 35, you have a 35 APO Summicron.
That's the king of the lightweight versatile lens.
It really is. I mean, for me, this is my go-to lens for most everything. It's fast enough at f2. It's got a beautiful look. It has the close focus ability, which allows it to go down to, you see the overhead here, 0.3 meters, right? So that's the rangefinder coupled range to 0.7, and we can keep going around and around to 0.3 meters. Makes it really, really flexible as a one main lens. And then I would personally, I mean, because I do this,
24.
you could throw me the 24 over there.
There you go, sir.
I'm gonna, or the 21.
This one. Yeah.
Actually, here.
Yeah,
let's-
yeah.
I would say then pair the 35 with this 21 Super Elmar, which is incredible, and it really is very lightweight. Especially if you take the lens shade off. I mean, you can see it's pretty small. It takes standard filter size, which is nice, especially if you're shooting black and white. You can throw a color filter on there. And pair that with, I would say, do you have a 90 macro?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right there.
Right there.
Right in
So,
front of you.
yeah, so that would be,
Oh, yeah. There we go.
so this would be a great lightweight, very small size. You got that collapsible 90 that really is a sleeper lens. This is one of the sharpest lenses in the lineup. Obviously the 35, I'd say.
Wow, look at that. Look at that
Objectively.
right there. Okay, so that's 3 lenses, 21, 35, 90, super versatile kit.
Sure.
Look how small, like those 2 lenses almost fit inside of the profile of the camera.
Yeah. And in fact, here, I'll use a back-to-back cap.
Oh, there you go. I mean, that is like, think about what you get with this kit, right? You have
Whoa.
your wide angle that you can crop a little bit loose, or a little bit longer if you need to with your 60 megs, super sharp. You've got an absolutely incredible versatile 35 that has the close focus that you can crop to a 50 if you need to. Then you've got your 90 macro. You put a macro adapter right there. You have an insane range just in that
In this
little
size, yeah.
tiny kit.
And here's the macro adapter.
Yeah, there you go. That is, you want to talk about a compact kit? That thing is
That's it.
sweet.
That's it right there.
That 90 macro continues to be the most underrated lens in the lineup, despite the fact that we've been shouting its praises for 10 years.
Yeah.
Nice.
True.
All right, cool. Let's go to the next question.
Perfect. I like that question.
All right, fire
I
away.
feel like that was like a it depends thing. But yeah, that's my take.
What you got?
All right. I am considering the Leica 28mm Elmarit to replace my 35mm Summicron on my M10. Compare the advantages of each. I am a landscape and documentary photographer.
All right. Well, I think the advantages are going to be split. Number one is there's a focal length difference. So for factoring out the lens model specifically, you need to determine if you feel that you're too restricted with your 35. If you do, then yes, wider is the answer. I also don't know which generation 35 Summicron you have, so there's a little bit of vagueness. But if I assume the current one, performance of the 20 Elmarit is similar, maybe a little bit sharper because it's less demanding since it's a slower aperture lens. For street shooting, you're going to have more depth of field if you're doing zone focusing. So I think it's a lens worth trying. If you use the 20 Elmarit, the current version without the hood and just the thread ring, we have one
Super tiny.
floating around somewhere.
Nope.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if I take, this is a 20 Elmarit, the curved version, we can get overhead. Here we go.
That's me.
Nice one. There you go. There you go. This is, go. You can see without the hood, that lens is incredibly small. So I think that's something this lens really brings to the table is a combination of high performance, extremely small size and lightweight. And I think it could be fun to mix it up for your street stuff. Cool. Next question.
Although
Oh no, there's an although.
I wouldn't rule if you can stretch, I would highly recommend the 28 Summicron. It's
Well, yeah, depending on the
beautiful
weight
lens.
requirements. And if you're shooting at f8 for street,
yeah,
save yourself a few
yeah.
grand.
But Summicron is
It's a sweet one.
oh, it's so nice, especially the new version. So
Okay, next question.
Let's see. Can you update us on the status of SL3 firmware 4.0 and 4.01?
Yes, we are going to do an episode on the new firmware this summer. So I'm not going to get into it now because we just haven't done the deep dive testing yet because we don't want to skimp on that. We want to dive in full on. And obviously it's been a chaotic time for us, traveling and all this stuff. What I'll say is just as a blanket rule for some of these newer firmwares is I always recommend updating with the memory card method, not with the Photos app. I've heard a couple of cases where that's caused some issues. Not a lot, but even more than one. I'm like, I've had no issues with the card method. So really ever. Correct. So I would say the one thing I'll say for now is definitely better to update with a memory card. We have a few episodes on firmware. Even though they're on the older models, the workflow is exactly the same on the current one. So definitely worth checking out if you're not familiar with the process.
yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing for us that we wanted to really take our time and deep dive is Leica completely re-engineered the focus menu, focus menu and just how the focus system works in general in the version 4 firmware for SL. And it definitely is going to require, and we've talked about it, how we could really test that out and see where the optimal tracking is and the face detection, and now the animal detection is out of beta. So there's a lot, I think, to discuss there. And
We will.
not
For 2
just
hours.
but not just discuss. We're really, when we do it, we want to do it right, which means we want to test it objectively, where we can report on those results and give you the best advice possible. But right now, I don't feel that we're there yet because we need to develop that testing methodology.
There you go. Next question.
All right. What's the deal with M240 battery rumors? Did Leica mention anything about starting up
What's the
production
deal?
again?
What's the deal with that?
It's funny because what I find really interesting is any discussion that involves Leica on a public forum, Facebook, with user forums, Instagram, doesn't matter where, if there's a community of individuals with access to the internet having a conversation about Leica, somebody asks about 240 batteries.
Yeah.
Now, the important context here is the M240 generation was produced from 2012 to 2015, which means the newest
17.
one, what? Oh, the 262?
Yeah.
Fine, 2017. The newest one is 10 years old, which is an incredible testament to how advanced that camera was for its time if people are still continuing to ask about batteries.
It's a great camera.
The biggest challenge is the misinformation that is out there. Essentially, the batteries for the 240, the BPSCL2, have been extremely, extremely difficult to get for the last couple of years. Leica camera does not manufacture their own batteries. That would be impossible. They would be $1,000 each if they did that. So they work with a supplier somewhere in the world. They had some kind of issue with their supplier and either had to find a new one or rework the battery or whatever. So batteries are continuing to be manufactured. Leica has stated this. They're still making them or they're still getting them from their supplier, just in very limited quantities. And because the demand has been built up for so long, because it's like this sort of snowball effect, because people start to talk about that they're hard to get, and then everyone starts to get orders in, and then everyone starts. So the reality is they're not discontinued. They're not trying to screw over 240 users or say we don't support you anymore. Leica camera is extremely aware of the interest and the demand for batteries for the 240. They are doing everything in their power to make as many as they can. And here's what's going to happen is in some amount of time between now and who knows when,
They'll be available.
they're going to be available and no one's going to remember how hard they are to get. It happened with M10 batteries, it happened with M9 batteries, it happened with filter. I mean, every time there's a shortage.
Right. Think about that.
Yeah.
M9 batteries, the generation prior, are still available.
Yeah, so no more questions about 240 batteries. So just understand they're still in production. They're just hard to get. That will change eventually. I don't know when. I don't know why.
So could I get a battery, though, for this 246?
There's one in there right now. I'll auction that one off to the highest bidder. I'm kidding. If you want one, you will be able to get one eventually. So everything is going to be okay. Next question. I'm glad we got that out of the way.
Are you sure about the rumors about the 240 battery? Or...
I hear they're going to make them solar powered. So it's just like a big array that comes out of the camera. And it just, yeah.
It runs on vibes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
All right.
Okay. With more Leica stores opening around the world, what can you suggest as best ways for folks to support the store besides the obvious purchase gear? Meaning, what do your favorite clients do to support your business?
That sounds like we planned that question. I swear we did not. That's a great question.
Wait.
Right, I love a shameless self-promotion opportunity.
Well, yeah.
a good question.
We think it's great that there is Leica stores around the world and that it is growing because the stores are really a fantastic place to get your hands on Leica with people who know what Leica is and to lead you through that journey. Leica, when we started, we were the second Leica store to open in the United States back in 2013. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the whole concept and what we liked about it when we created this is that we could have this space where you come into the store and I mean, all this stuff here, like you can see all this. You know, you think that it's just for YouTube and we hide it in a closet somewhere.
Right, it's on display.
But a lot of this is on display. We have every single SL lens, just about every single M lens except for like the 35 Noctilux that we can't even get for display because we're trying to get as many to you. Every Q model, every accessory, every, you know, straps, bags, everything. And you can come in and we're super hands-on and we want people to play and experience and experiment. And everything that we talk about here is what we practice in the store as well. And we would hope that other stores around the world, wherever they be, sure, there might be some cultural differences or things like that. But these are places where you can be part of that Leica community and you can experience
such a politically
cameras
correct answer.
and lenses.
I'm going to be much more direct. See, the thing is,
And Josh is going to give his answer.
the thing is, we're watching the show right now, Red Dr. Rom Camera Talk, 95th episode. We are Leica Storm-Miami, right? That is the engine that drives this program that allows us to bring you these cameras and allows me to do this insane testing. And we take a lot of pride in the work that we do, because we love Leica. I mean, I've been here 16 years. David, you brought me on 2 weeks after I turned 23, and I just turned 39 in February.
Wow.
And I know I don't look like it because I got
Well,
shaved.
I look at pictures now. I'm like, how did I hire like
No,
a
right? That's
10-year-old?
just a baby. So, we are really, really into it. And we're grateful for the people watching right now. We're grateful for the subscribers, for the Instagram followers, for the commenters. And really the best way to support us beyond obviously shopping at Leica Storm-Miami for new and used is visit us, engage with us, send your friends to us. Tell the world how amazing and handsome we are. And we appreciate it.
Jose at least.
Especially Jose.
Yeah, especially
so,
Jose.
yeah, I think that's a great question. And obviously we appreciate it. And, we're always grateful when somebody comes in the store. It happened today. Somebody came in, told us how much they like the show. And I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I meet people on the street sometimes who talk about they watch the show, which is a wild experience for me and terrible for my ego. But anyway, it's a great question.
The problem is he can't fit in the taxi to go back to the airport because
I'm like, they gotta put me on a hot air balloon. All right, next question. Thank you, Jose.
Oh man. Let's see. I have been a loyal Leica SL system user since 2020. I have been a wildlife photographer, and I have a question. What's the relationship between depth of field and exposure correction? Does the depth of field change as I play with the exposure correction?
Well, the only thing that's going to change depth of field is two things. It's going to be focal length and aperture, right? They work together to define depth of field in photography. And there's a third element. Sorry.
Distance.
Your distance to the subject. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So we have distance to the subject, focal length, aperture. If none of those three things change, because generally speaking, for landscape photography especially, I recommend shooting in aperture priority or in full manual. When you are changing exposure compensation in aperture priority mode, what it's doing is it's changing your shutter speed within the bounds that you have set with your ISO settings. So if you have auto ISO with a minimum shutter speed, your ISO will start to change exposure if your shutter speed runs out. It's a little overcomplicating, but basically ISO, shutter speed are the main drivers of exposure compensation in the camera, not aperture, for the very reason that it is a creative choice to choose your aperture because that is what's controlling your depth of field, your bokeh, your subject to background separation, along with focal length and distance. So the short answer is no, unless you're shooting in full manual and you specifically need a set shutter speed. For instance, you need a set shutter speed of 1 second to shoot a waterfall, right? The way that I like to control that is with neutral density filters and fine tune it with ISO to get exactly the shutter speed I want, again, without changing my aperture. Because for me, that aperture control and depth of field control is paramount, especially in landscape photography. So that would be my my suggestion. The only exception to the rule, which I will say,
okay,
there's an exception, which is astrophotography. And in astrophotography, you're desperately trying to keep your ISO as low as possible, while also keeping your shutter speed low, because if you go over, say, 6 to 10 seconds in astrophotography, your stars start to move and you get half moons instead of pinpoint stars. So in that regard, generally when you're adjusting exposure, you're playing with aperture to get there. And it's not as big a deal because you're shooting at infinity, shooting stars. So I would just say, if you take that exception out of the equation, most everything else you're going to do in landscape photography, you will kind of not touch the aperture, you will touch the other elements of exposure.
Okay.
How's that?
That was excellent.
Okay.
I like
Very
that
technical,
answer.
right?
No, it's good though. Super thorough. Thank you.
I feel very professorally.
You got the
I'll
look.
do the long answer now.
The patches, yeah.
Wait, where are my elbow patches?
All right, next question.
My corduroy
We're already
jacket.
half an hour into the show. We barely scratched the surface. Let's keep going.
go.
Okay. Let me see. Where were we? Okay. What is the best way to correct for parallax when using Leica M body and M lenses with the optical viewfinder when in close distance to the subject, for example, when taking a portrait?
Yeah. Well, if you're using an external optical viewfinder, there is no parallax correction built in. If you use the rangefinder, there is. If you actually watch our viewfinder episode from 3 or 4 episodes ago, we show video through the viewfinder of an M camera, and you can see how the frame lines move to correct for parallax. Because on an M, you're not looking through the lens. You're looking through a separate viewfinder that is offset from the lens. So because there's that slight distance, parallax means what you would see exactly framed up is not necessarily going to match exactly what the lens is seeing without that being corrected for.
Right. And as you can see, the distance from this viewfinder window, forget the rangefinder window for a second, that's for focusing. The viewfinder window over here is where you're actually looking through, but your lens is here. So this distance is that parallax distance or error, basically, right? And the closer you are to your subject, the more pronounced this effect becomes. When you're shooting at infinity, the distance relative between here and here is pretty minor. Likewise, as Josh is saying, if you had an external optical finder that went in the hot shoe, again, going from here down to the lens, there's still some error there as well. But if you watch the viewfinder episode, you can see that those frame lines move diagonally as you're focusing closer to try to approximate that.
Yeah.
It's never going to be 100%. That's just part of the charm of rangefinder photography.
That's the fun part. Get a Visiflex if you want.
I was just about to say, you can get an electronic viewfinder or shoot with an EV1.
There you go.
Problem solved.
Next question.
Okay. If you both had to pick one camera in the lineup in the manufacturer's history, what would it be?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think we need to divide it between film cameras and digital cameras.
Okay.
So I'm going to have you go first in the shortest possible way, without 25 minutes of context. If you had to pick one film camera and one digital camera.
Okay, film camera?
Yes.
M7.
Ooh, good choice.
I'll say the M7.
Digital camera?
Digital camera,
I know what you're going to say.
I got to go with SL3.
There you go. Good answer.
Listen, I don't want to go back in time.
Yeah, I get
Frankly,
it. Yeah.
as amazing, and I talk about this.
Here we go. Here's the
and I get nostalgic. As much as I love the SL2, and it was my workhorse for 5 years, and I love the S cameras before that for 10 years, and of course I have a love affair with all the M's and the Q's and all that. Mm-hmm. I would be happy shooting with any of them. I just can depend on the SL3 the most for my work today, and it's super, super capable and advanced, and I love it. How about you?
All right, I would
Film
say
camera.
Film camera. I would go with an M4P.
Ooh, okay.
Because it has all of the frame lines without any electronics, so it's as new as you can get in an M with the most newest features, I guess I would say, without getting into the electronic side. So it's probably the most functional, but also forever film camera. Digital, I would go MEV1. It's been a game changer for me.
I know you've been shooting with a lot.
It's for vintage glass and weird stuff that I like. It is, oh my gosh, it's the best. So
okay.
My answer. That's a good question. I like that one.
Jose's got to answer.
That's right. Jose has to answer.
Come on, Jose.
I would say for film, MP black paint.
Because you have one. That's true.
That's true. Well, that's why I have it.
That's true. You showed your colors. Your colors are black paint.
And digital, I would say M11 Monochrom.
Ooh, that's a sweet combo. Okay, yeah. I think Jose wins. He has the best one.
Jose's got it.
Right,
ooh, and one watch.
Oh no watches.
Leica watch.
The Leica watch. Yeah, Leica Monochrom watch to go with your Monochrom camera.
Exactly.
All right, next question.
All right, let's see. I tried the M240 with the 35mm Summicron for a week, and it was underwhelming. Should I consider the SL2S with a 24-70 and adapt M lenses?
I mean, they're very different animals from very different eras. Yeah. You're talking about 2012 technology versus 2020 technology. Oh, yeah. I think you have to decide what your goals are from a technical and creative standpoint and work backwards from there. You know, the 240 is a fascinating sort of tipping point where Leica really started to go modern in the M line. Yeah. And they're great value compared to the cost of, let's say, an M11. It still has live view. Still, it's the only M with video.
I would also say that the 240 specifically got somewhat of a bad internet rap back in the day because of that switch from CCD to CMOS from the M9 to the 240 generation.
Gosh, you had to bring up.
I had to bring this up. Okay,
why are you doing this to me?
But it enhanced the capability so much. The 240, fantastic camera. We recommend it on our Underdogs thing. a new look at old favorites. The 240 constantly comes up on our radar. Jose, Brandon in the store both regularly shoot with 240 generation cameras. They love them. Jose can agree with me if he wants, but But I would say this, but out of camera, the RAW files on the 240 require a little bit more processing because Leica really backed off on, I guess, the in-camera pre-whatever on the RAW files. They're very flat and, almost just flat and pasty and whatever. And coming from the M9, where they had that really punchy, low dynamic range CCD look, you can get that same look. And in fact, there is a freely available preset to do so on Red Dot Forum. I wrote a 3-part article about doing just this.
And we're going to move on to the next question before this becomes the rest of the show.
But
no buts. Your answers are too long.
No.
We have
But
like 100
I would.
questions left.
But I would say this:
Okay.
if you were underwhelmed by the 240 and you try those presets with the photos that you took and you're still underwhelmed,
Well, we don't know why he was underwhelmed. Was it the technical limitations, or the images, or the fact that it was a rangefinder? I don't know. I don't want to assume.
I was assuming image.
We're not
but
going to, email us. We'll give you more context. But
on all of those points,
yeah,
on everything you just mentioned, I would say try an M11. Rent one.
There you go.
Try it out, and with the same lens, the 35 Summicron, and I'm going to say you're not going to be underwhelmed. The generational difference from the 240 to the M10 to the M11 is dramatic.
It's a long time.
So try it out.
Next question.
All right, David.
Yeah.
This one's for you. You offer a variety of premium photo tours. I'd love to see a sampling of photos from each visit by you and your attendees on your website. I suspect it would be a compelling marketing tool.
I agree.
Great answer.
Great answer.
If only you could stop there.
If only I could stop there. So a few things to that. One, we are actually working on a new workshop website that will be rolling out soonish, except there's a lot of workshop travel in the works. Peter, who leads our workshop program, is currently in Uzbekistan with Richard Sexton.
Sweet.
Leading a wonderful workshop along the Silk Road.
Yep.
He needs to be involved in this, so he's not here right now. And Colin, who is one of our workshop guides, is on his way to London because he's in charge of LSI.
Shorter answers.
Shorter answer.
Yes.
That's coming soon. But we also have coming soon in the store, we have a gallery show featuring our past workshop attendees' photos in our main gallery in the store. Which, do we have a date for that?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Soon.
But it's
Kirsten
coming.
is working extremely hard on that.
It's
But
for
we
the
are
fall, right?
in the summer.
Oh, the summer.
This summer,
The summer.
our next gallery event, because we have the gallery at Leica Miami, will be featuring images from all of our workshops on the wall. So after that show goes up, and we'll talk about it on here once we have dates and stuff. If you want to see workshop images in print, there's no better place to come than Leica Miami. And flights to Miami are cheap in the summertime. So
Yeah, nobody wants to be here in the summer.
we have great air conditioning. It's totally fine.
Bring an umbrella
Next question.
and galoshes.
Next question.
All right.
That was on my bingo card. Galoshes. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it.
Is there a difference in the viewfinder of the Leica M11P and my older Leica M240?
I'll let you take that.
Yes, there is. So this is one of the cool things about Leica. Leica has been using the Rangefinder M technology since the 50s, and it's been very effective, and it's a classic technology. They could have just kept it the way it was. But when the M10 came out, what they actually did was dramatically improve the viewfinder, which is, to me, very, very cool because you have all these tech improvements and Wi-Fi and faster this and faster that, but they actually still bothered and took the time and the money to improve the core technology, which is the rangefinder. So it went from the M240 to the M10, and that's carried through to the M11. It went from a 0.68 magnification to a 0.73. So everything's a little bit bigger. The rangefinder patch is bigger. You got 30% wider, so it's a 30% larger finder, and a 50% more eye relief, meaning if you wear glasses, it's easier to see. So if you hold an M240 and an M11, you would think, oh, it's just an M, it's a rangefinder.
No, big difference.
It looks the same. It is a huge difference in the brightness and the size, especially if you wear glasses, between the 240 and the M10.
Oh, yeah.
And then that carried through to
Yes.
the M11P. So
Correct.
good question.
Okay.
Next.
Has Leica removed the following lenses from its lineup: the Tri-Elmar wide angle, the SL16-35, and the Summilux SL50?
So the Tri-Elmar, wide-angle Tri-Elmar is no longer in the catalog. 1635 is still current as far as we know. I think they've been hard to get. 50 Summilux SL is discontinued.
For years now.
For a couple of years, yeah.
Yeah.
I love the comments. Be nice to David. You see, the thing is, if I was nice to David, we would not get through 5 questions. Because the thing is, he has amazing things to say. We have a very condensed amount of time.
We need David after hours.
Well, I think we just need to do an episode where it's all night. We stream it until you lose your voice, and you give all these amazing answers.
Yeah.
If you really want to hang out,
Come on a workshop.
or just go to the store when he's there, which is not that often, but he's there. Or go on a workshop, and then you can literally sit on a bus somewhere in the mountains and ask David every single question about USB chargers and.
Or just watch our past 95 episodes, and that's.
There's that too. There's that too.
All right. Next question. Thank you, Jose.
All right. I want to know why you don't want anyone shooting at f/16.
That's a great question for you.
I'm going to try to keep this one short because Josh is sensitive.
No,
Okay.
this deserves a good. This deserves a good answer. Yeah.
So I'm sure I'm oft quoted as saying friends don't let friends shoot at f/16, and I do have good reason for that. And I personally do not shoot at f/16. I see photographers who are shooting at f/19 and getting wonderful photos. Good for them. I don't do that because I'm shooting with Leica equipment, and I am constantly chasing that next level of image quality. So why do I love the M11 and the SL3? Like, they're just such great improvements over the previous generations. They've unlocked low light capability and higher pixel density paired with just phenomenal lenses, like the 35 APO Summicron-M or any of the SL zooms, etc. So why would I sacrifice that quality that I've been working towards through my photographic career and throw away basically detail that I could be capturing? So the reason for this is not that, Leica is bad. They don't, lenses don't work at f/16 on Leica. It's like, no, that's not how it is. In fact, if you shoot an M240, which seems to be coming up a lot in this discussion.
Can we stop the 240?
Okay, if you shoot an M10, an M240, anything in that pixel density, that was Leica stayed with a 6 micron pixel size. That's the dimension, 6 microns, which yielded 24 megapixels for full frame, 35 millimeter, and on the S system, 37.5 megapixel, same pixel density. On those cameras, you could shoot at f/16. F13 a little better, but you could shoot at f/16, and I wouldn't yell at you much.
Yeah, too much.
But as Leica has now moved through now 40, 47 on the SL, and then now up to 60 across the range. So the Q3 generation, the SL3 generation, the M11 generation, all have standardized on this incredibly high-performing 60 megapixel CMOS sensor, the BSI sensor. And that's phenomenal, except now the micron size is, I believe, 3.4 or something like that, or 4.3? It's one of the two.
It's like 4 something, I think.
It's like, or 4 point something.
Yeah.
So it's tiny, tiny little pixels. And what happens is the more that you stop down, the light spreads in what's called an airy disk. And at a certain point, which is called diffraction point, the light spreads past resolving an individual pixel into spreading across multiple pixels, which ultimately leads to smearing details. Because now you're just kind of smudging things around, coloring outside the lines, so to speak, right? If you have a coloring book, you color inside the lines, everything looks nice and crisp. You start coloring outside the lines for everything, and it starts looking like a blurry, smeary mess when you look too close. Now, sure, maybe you can shoot at f/19 or 22 for Instagram, where the picture is this big and will never be bigger than that. But if I want the highest quality image that I feel that I'm paying for with this equipment, and I one day might want to blow up something to 4 feet wide, I certainly can, but it's going to look not quite as good if I stop down past the diffraction point, which on the 60 megapixel sensor is around f8, f9.5. I've even seen, certainly on the M11 and lenses like the 35 APO Summicron, I've even seen where performance at f6.3 is a little bit better if you're pixel peeping than f8. So it's a trade-off. Do you want higher megapixel and more detail? Or do you want to stop down more? Because unfortunately, with physics, you can't have both. There is a trade-off. And Leica, I think, acknowledged that for a long time by staying at 24 megapixel until they were really forced through the market.
Yeah, to
people
go to 40, which is
really, really demanded more and more resolution.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, here it is. And now we're in the position where people are asking, why can't I shoot at f16?
So I have an idea for a special edition Leica Summaron-M lens.
It stops at f8.
No, instead of 16 on the aperture scale, it's just a U. So it's just FU. See? I'm going to make that for you for your birthday next year.
Thanks.
Right. That was an excellent explanation.
Hopefully that's clear without...
That was worth the time.
Okay.
That was worth the
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you, David. What's next?
All right. Where was it? Okay. Here we go. Okay. I'm really curious about the M11-D. Who would you recommend to get the M11-D? I prefer to shoot on film and wonder if it's because of the screenless workflow.
The M11-D and the M10-D and the MD262 before that, it's the closest experience you can have to shooting film without having to shoot film. Meaning you don't have to be distracted by a screen. You can't review the images, not excluding the visa flags in the Photos app. And the feel of the camera in your hands feels like a film camera. So I think if you want something really special, that's going to slow you down, it's going to make you think, it's going to encourage you just to continue shooting as opposed to just reviewing your images, there's nothing that beats that experience from the M11-D. It's definitely a niche camera. It's a niche camera in a subset that's already niche cameras, but they're very, very cool. And I think the fact that for the 100th anniversary special edition that Leica came out with last year, that they chose an M11-D to base it on tells you a lot about their thought process about how significant that camera is and the kind of longevity that it has in the sense that it's just about taking pictures. It's not about the screens. You look at a Bugatti Veyron or a Bugatti Chiron, right? These crazy $5 million cars, there's no screen in there because they want it to be more timeless.
Right.
Right? So I think I like that analogy because the M10-D and the M11-D and the MD262, they are more timeless because they simply don't have a screen. So there's no talk about touchscreen or resolution or OLED or whatever. It's just metal and leather. That's it.
And when Leica first came out with, what is it, in 2012? They came out with M60? Is that right? Or 2014?
2014.
2014.
M Edition 60, yeah, for their 60 years event.
Correct, yeah. So the M Edition 60, that really hot black tent, yes, was, you know, when that camera first came out, the M Edition 60, and it had no LCD screen, and this, and at that time, what was really significant is it was 2 years on the heels of the first M Monochrom.
Yeah.
Which was also in 2012.
Yeah.
So first, Leica comes out with a digital camera that only shoots black and white when everyone's like, well, you could just click black and white, like for a color camera.
Right.
Why would you do that? And it became it became a sensation. People loved the Monochrom. And of course, now we have however many generations of that. And then 2 years later, they're like, yeah, that was bold, but how about this? How about the digital camera with no screen?
Made out of stainless steel.
Gotcha.
And no strap lugs either.
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, that was maybe a little crazy. They're like, mic drop. Right.
That's right.
Yeah. And the response was the opposite of what you would expect. People said, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
when will Leica make this in a production version?
And they did with the MD262.
And they did. They listened because the feedback was so overwhelmingly positive on that M Edition 60 where they only made 600 sets. And yeah, and now how many? 3 more generations
That's right.
of it.
M11-D is
Very cool. Very cool camera.
Next question.
All right. So I'm a crime scene photographer in the city of LA, which falls under photojournalism. What would you recommend as far as going with an M body and 2 lenses?
Well, there's a lot that we don't know. Like, are you doing close-up, wide angle, nighttime, daytime? What are your technical? I mean, if you're probably having to stop down, I would guess, to get more stuff in the frame.
Flash,
I'd
no
probably
flash.
say 35 APO because then you have
nighttime,
the
lots of
performance, the macro, or you're not macro, but the close-up function,
Right.
edge-to-edge performance, so the details are there, and then probably a 90 macro.
Yeah.
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 Because they're 2 ultra-high performance lenses that are really, really versatile.
Right.
So that's what I would do.
Definitely a flash.
Flash.
Sure.
Well, just because,
Shooting
like,
at night.
what's that movie with what's his face? Was it Jake Gyllenhaal? Where he was like a
Nightcrawler? Or,
is that what that was?
Or
Night Stalker.
Night
Night Star?
Stalker,
Yeah,
yeah.
whatever that was. Yeah. So you got to be that guy.
I think it needs an M11 Monochrom actually.
Oh
So,
yeah. So I think some of that stuff has to like you have to see the color.
Does it have to be
right?
color?
No.
I mean red. You see red, I guess, right?
Oh God.
Anyway.
Next question, please.
Okay. Let's see. How do you prevent haze, mold, and fungus from your expensive M lenses?
You know, most modern lenses, I don't see that. You would have to store it outside, not outside, in a non-climate controlled environment for an extended period of time. On vintage glass, that happens a lot just because it's been around for a long time. It really just comes down to ambient humidity, right? So don't keep them in your garage. Keep them in your house. If you don't have air conditioning, get one of those dry cabinets and put them in there. It's super rare for me to see a modern lens of any category with fungus. Haze sometimes, but that's another thing.
Pretty rare, though.
It's pretty rare. Modern optics just are built better, they're sealed better, and most people just understand the basics of not leaving them in a humid environment.
It wasn't even the humid environment. I mean, how many of, let's say, vintage lenses come in a disintegrating leather
Yes, oh my
case?
goodness, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so just store them not in anything, like not in a box or not in a case, just, so the air can flow around and
In a cabinet, on
Yeah,
a
you'll be
shelf.
fine, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if your home or office is climate controlled and it's comfortable enough for you to be there and sleep, just stick them on the shelf. And
go.
I think you'll be in good shape.
Next question.
Okay.
And not in a bathroom.
Yeah.
Can Leica repair an older M6 light meter with the new light meter in the current release M6?
It's a good question.
No, so I can say this because Stefan Daniel has said it publicly, that they are supposedly working on a way to retrofit the new meter into the old one. That could have just been something they were thinking about. It wasn't clear. But backing up, the M6 meter, the electronics, certain parts of it cannot be repaired anymore by Leica. I'm not sure what the timeline is, if and when. Again, I can't speak for Leica. I can just say at an LSI meeting, Stefan Daniel was asked this question and he said they were doing something to try to retrofit the current meter from the M6 reissue into the classic ones. I don't know where the status of that is. So the short answer is
We don't know.
the current ones can't be fixed. The long answer is maybe one day that won't be an issue.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. I kind of have like a 2 to 3 part question, but it's related to the same topic.
Sure.
It's about 60 megapixel sensors.
Okay.
So basically, one of them is, are Leica lenses sharp enough to even resolve this? Is there a circumstance where one would need 60 megapixels? And is there a sweet spot when it comes to megapixels and the sensors?
We can both do that. Why don't you start?
Okay. There's a lot to unpack there.
It's,
Yeah. I'm going to compress that.
Yeah.
So, yes, I think that 60 megapixels is a really good sweet spot that Leica has settled on. We have the benefit of having really fast computing, both in our palms. I mean, you could put a RAW file from a 60 megapixel RAW file from a Leica into the Photos app, into Lightroom Mobile, and you could actually work entirely off your phone. I know a few people who do. One of these guys might be watching. Talking to you, Jason. I've seen people where they process everything on an iPad, and it's amazing because they now have Apple Silicon and iPads, and the laptops are super powerful now. And I used to be able to say that storage is cheap, but it's not. It will be again, hopefully. But basically, I don't see any downside in terms of where it's just, it's overwhelming, it's slow, whatever. No, it's fine. The cameras are quick, the computers are quick, the mobile devices are quick, memory is fast. All of that technology has caught up to a point where it is not an inconvenience to have a high megapixel sensor. And in my mind, we don't know what the future holds in terms of display technology or output. And you may not know that you want to do a gallery show in 10 years as a retrospective, or there might be 8K monitors hanging in living rooms. We don't know that, right? So we just assume that if we can shoot that sweet spot of 60 megapixels, that it will come to use later on. Also, cropping, especially if you're doing street photography and impromptu stuff.
Or perspective control.
Or perspective control and straightening things out, you need extra resolution. So there is certainly reason to have the increased resolution. And I'm going to let you answer the lens comment.
Yes.
And I think Josh has unique perspective for 2 reasons that I just want to kind of prep people for. One, in just about every episode of among those 90 some odd episodes where we do some kind of lens testing or camera testing, Josh has done all of that. And he has hundreds of hours of camera and lens
Don't
testing.
remind me.
Okay.
Yes.
Hundreds, many hundreds of hours
yes.
testing. So he's certainly seen multiple generations, both of cameras and lenses, and where those megapixels fall, and not just with modern glass, but also with vintage glass.
Yeah.
And I think that Josh is in a very unique position to speak to this question specifically, and I think it's worth talking about.
Yeah, so the reality is that if you come to me and you say, Josh, my number one objective with my next Leica camera is to take full advantage of every one of those 60 million pixels, what should I get? I would say get an SL3 and APO SL primes, because they represent the best lenses that Leica has ever made. They are beyond capable of squeezing out every inch of performance from that sensor. That's the answer to that question. The thing is, you're probably talking about M lenses, and the reality is that the shift in performance of M lenses on a camera really is more about when Leica went from film to digital than they from 24 or from 18 to 24 to 40 to 60 megapixels. Because when they started designing lenses that factored in the sensor cover glass, as opposed to a slightly curved piece of film, they could fundamentally change the way that light was projected through the lens, and especially around the corners. So if you use a pre-digital design lens versus a post-digital design lens, to use a layman's term, you will see a big difference in performance. But of course, the fun part about M lenses is that they're not perfect. We have the APO SL Summicrons for that. M lenses are about character, are about look, are about making fun images that are distinct. So if I take a 50 Summilux prehistoric version 2, which was designed in 1961, and I put it on an M11 with 60 megapixels, it's not really going to perform any better or worse than it would on 24 or 40, because it's not about resolving every nth bit of detail. It was made in an era where digital sensors couldn't even be fathomed. But what you are getting from these higher resolution sensors is so much more character out of the lens, because so much of that character is described by the lens's inherent flaws. Spherical aberration, chromatic aberration, coma, astigmatism, flare, vignetting, all of those things that are corrected out of these ultra high performance modern APO and spherical lenses are the reasons we gravitate towards vintage lenses in the first place. So to me, on the modern 60 megapixel sensor, I have been able to get performance and magic from vintage lenses like I've never been able to get before, especially on the MEV1, which is why I'm obsessed with it. So I think that vintage M lenses are more practical and usable and special today than they were 10, 20 years ago, even when they were current. I think the way you can use those lenses now on a camera like the EV1 or the SL3 completely changes the game. And I think that's why they've been so hard to get, and why the prices for a lot of these older Summiluxes and Summicrons have gone up like crazy in the last 5 years. Next question.
Wait, did we answer all three parts of that?
Yes, I think we did. Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's see.
I feel like I answered like 1.5.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, okay.
I'm traveling to Japan later this month
Cool.
and suffering from
Yeah, you love Japan.
I do like Japan.
yeah,
Sorry.
and suffering from decision paralysis on what to take. So here's my question. If you were traveling to Japan, David, Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, looking to take architecture and lifestyle street photography photos, what camera lenses will you take with you? I have the SL3, Q3, Q343, M11P, and M11 Monochrom. Take them all.
Okay, well, I'm going to say this. First, depends how long you're going for. Depends if it's, as I like to say, a photo trip where you're specifically going to take pictures and do other things, or if it's not a photo trip where you're going to do other things and take pictures while you're there, because the mindset is different. If it's the latter and you're just poking along, I would probably veer towards the Qs because they're just really fast and light and easy, and you don't get the piercing, glaring laser beam looks from your other travel companions. But if you're really going and you want to take full advantage of the photography opportunities that Japan affords, which is vast and many, Japan is just a treasure trove of photographic opportunity. You have a couple advantages too. One, it's a modern, civilized country, very efficient. You can bring more stuff than you would shoot in a given day because it's also extraordinarily safe. They have almost no crime. Japan is super, super safe. So I have no reservations whatsoever. Let's say I want to bring an M kit and I want to bring an SL kit, which I have done. it doesn't mean I have to go out with everything. So what I like to do is pack a rolling bag with 2 camera bags. Like I just pull everything out of the rolling bag and stuff 2 shoulder bags inside of it. One with an SL kit, one with an M kit. Then you have kind of a grab and go bag situation for either one. If you want to, pick one in a given day, pick the other in a given day. And I think the Q, regardless if you're shooting SL or M, are always a fantastic add-on camera, companion camera, because when you're shooting an M, the Q is great because it gives you another focal length. Maybe you're not duplicating that with a very similar look and, size and feel when you're shooting that. It's also autofocus, which means that if you need to hand the camera to somebody else or you need to be really quick and one-handed, the Q kind of fills that gap. When you are, maybe you can't change your lenses fast enough on the M. And then on the SL, it's fantastic because where the SL is really capable, with the zoom and, just everything the SL can do, the Q has the advantage that it's small and light, and you just can always have it on you and ready to go in those situations. People also in Japan, not super sensitive to having photographs taken because so many people do take pictures there. It's part of the culture. And so even if you have a bigger camera like an SL, it doesn't really draw attention the way it would in some other places where maybe, like Paris, I probably aim only to M or Q, not to SL. But I think if you're going to Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, any of these can work. On my first 2 trips to Japan, I took pretty much an M kit. On the most recent trip to Japan, because also it was more landscape oriented, I did just take an SL with a 1635 and a 2490 and a Q, and that was it. And I didn't take any M gear. And honestly, when I look at any of those results that I came back with, I would be perfectly happy to only shoot with M or only shoot with SL. I think that choice comes down to, again, what kind of a trip it is and how much you're willing to carry or use.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's my answer.
What I'll say in short, I don't know who asked this question, so I'll just make a judgmental statement in blanket. The number one reason that the people I work with have these decision paralysis is because they don't use their gear enough in low pressure situations. Meaning the time to make mistakes and take the wrong camera and take the wrong lens and mess up the settings is not on your expensive, incredibly exotic trip. It's walking around town. It's hopping on a bus and going to the nearest big city or whatever, because you have this amazing opportunity to use what you just described are the best cameras in the world. I am very jealous
For sure.
of your kit. You are so well equipped to make amazing photographs. And the key is just to use the heck out of them when there's no stakes, when you haven't spent any money and you're just somewhere that you're familiar with. So that way you can work backwards from your experiences with that equipment in those environments and the photos you get to have a better sense of, okay, I'm going to Japan, I'm doing landscape, street, whatever. I've gotten great street with this and great landscape with that, and I can sort of build and piece my kit together based on that physical experience, which is what really David does so well, is because you'll bring these, all kinds of gear into every environment imaginable, and you're testing and you're experimenting and you're pushing things and you're using gear in ways it was never meant to be used.
Sometimes, obviously, so yeah.
Yeah, and that gives you that sort of technical foundation of understanding how to make those decisions when you're going to travel.
Sure. But bring more things.
Yes, just bring it all. That's what I would say. So you pay for my trip, and I will carry all the cameras for you. I'll hand them to you when you ask.
Can I say another catchphrase?
Yes, you can.
Okay. In those cases, again, you were flying halfway around the world. Okay, I don't know where you live, but let's just assume Japan, for most people, is halfway around the world.
Yes.
And it takes a long time to get there. The jet lag is absolute murder.
Yeah.
You feel like a zombie for days, but it is completely worth it. Again, it is phenomenally good photography, right? You don't want to miss out on things. So I will always say this. I would rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Words to live by. Especially if you shop at Leica Store Miami.
Yeah.
You need to have it all. All right, let's do one more question, and then I want to show some goodies, Jose.
Okay.
It's 9 o'clock.
All right. Let's see. We have a lot of questions that have come in, so we gotta think.
I'm not surprised, but you know
Pick it
what?
up.
It's our show. We can do whatever we want. So.
We gotta pick it up on the second half here.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Sorry, I lost it here. Okay. I recently bought a silver Leica 75mm f2 lens. Did Leica ever produce a silver E49 UVA2 filter?
So, first of all, the silver 75 Summicron limited edition is
Sick.
amazing. And they also made a silver 28 Summilux, which is also an E49. No, there is not a silver E49 filter. I have heard stories about a limited run that was only sold in Europe. I've never seen one in person, so I cannot confirm or deny that that exists. But unfortunately, no, that would be really, really, really cool. There may be other brands that do it, but Leica never made an E49 officially worldwide in silver.
But they did make, didn't they make a UVIR in silver?
Maybe. I tried to see if I had one floating around. I
Yeah.
couldn't. You know, there's a silver Q, the silver 28 Lux,
yeah.
the silver 75. So there are a couple of silver cameras that would benefit from that.
Sure.
I'm petitioning now Leica to make a silver 49 filter
They definitely should.
right now.
They definitely should.
Do it. Okay.
Okay.
So since it's
Okay.
9 o'clock, oh, what?
Yeah. No.
Oh,
Go
you
ahead,
got-
go ahead. Yeah.
You got
Okay,
something quick?
at the 9 o'clock hour, we always show cool selections, generally from our used inventory. And first shout out to Leica Society International, LSI. We had an incredible time, both of us,
Tucson.
at the spring shoot in Tucson. And because I was gone for 5 days hanging out with all these cool Leica people, I got a huge backlog of used gear. So the last 10 or 12 days have been just a whirlwind of activity on our pre-owned site, our pre-owned section of our website, just listing tons and tons and tons of cool stuff. So I wanted to take an opportunity, just take a few minutes and show some of the really, really cool things that I just added because I'm just a nerd for this stuff. So we're going to start with something that is super, super cool. This is let's get the top down. There we go. This is an absolutely gorgeous Leica M2. I actually got it from the family of the original owner. So it's basically been a one-owner camera. Just got back from DAG, where it was given a full CLA. It actually had the original L seal before, so no one had ever opened it up or tinkered with it. So DAG went through it top to bottom, and you can see it's in really, really good shape. But what I like about this camera is what it comes with, because in addition to the camera itself, you get this really cool instruction booklet, which I just think is awesome. You get the original meter MR in the box with like this cool like crocodile texture. So, and the meter was also serviced to be calibrated, clean, and take a modern battery. So that's ready to go. And the coolest part, the original box. How cool is that? This camera's from 1965. Somebody kept this flimsy cardboard box for 61 years just so that one day I could show it on the show and get excited about it. So a really, really cool set from the family of the original owner. Super, super good shape with the meter and the instruction booklet, freshly serviced by DAG, who's awesome. So just got that in. If
Nice.
you like shooting film and you want something that has a little bit of history, has a cool, box to put on the shelf, very, very cool.
Nice.
On the vein of M cameras, but a little more modern. Ooh, we got something good.
What is this?
Look at this. Okay, it's a box.
Is it just the box?
It's just the box. So in here, don't go top down yet. Let me get this.
Oh.
This one,
Okay.
we need the old
the
glove.
old
We
gloves.
got a glove up here. Here we go. Well, I know you guys love it when I put on the Leica gloves.
The gloves are coming on.
Here we go. We have here one of my favorite special editions from the last few years.
Ah,
The Leica, so top down,
nice. Oh,
Leica M10P Reporter. Super,
Gorgeous.
super rare limited edition. Extremely hard to find on the market right now. This camera in particular is awesome because the aramid fiber covering is designed to slowly turn green over time. And this is really turning a lovely shade of green. It is stunning. It's got a screen protector on it. It's in mint condition. Obviously box full set with an extra battery as well. So if you wanted a really, really beautiful special edition that is very, very difficult to find these days, M10P Reporter, just look at the way that green is coming in. Now the thing is, and the last thing I'll show, you may be saying, well, Josh, I love this M10P Reporter and I need it in my life, but I need to have a lens that's equally as cool to put on it. Well, I've got the lens for you. That would be this.
oh,
28 Summicron Matte Black. Another gorgeous limited edition lens. And in fact, everybody goes on and on about black paint and all these finishes, but the matte black finishes, whether they're matte black or stealth, are by far the rarest iteration of all the different black finishes that Leica offers on M lenses, despite the matte black being the most common finish on M bodies. And what's really cool is that this lens, the matte black accents match all on the camera body, match the lens perfectly. And the infill, the paint here is actually slightly green, a very slight green hue to it, which matches the paint on the lettering and numbering on the body. So originally, the matte black Summicron was called the Reporter Edition. Some of the really early ones actually came in a box that said Reporter Edition. So even though these came out at different times, this lens was in its original form designed to match with the M10P Reporter. So if you're looking for an absolutely stunning combination, the lens is also mint with the box and everything else.
Wow.
This is for you. I got so hyped. I just added this to the website yesterday, and I just think this combination is awesome. So yeah, if you want a cool, you can come back to us, Jose.
Wow.
If you want a really cool party piece, M10P Reporter with the 20 Summicron, you can have it. You're not wearing gloves. You're not allowed to touch it. So yes, whether you're looking for a 1965 camera or a 2019 camera, we've got the really cool options. And of course,
Do not let Colin know you have that.
I will not. Of course, if you look at our U section, there are tons more stuff on there. Vintage stuff. I've got a version 450 Chron with the original box. I've got a classic series 50 Lux. First time we've seen one pre-owned. Just tons of, now that I'm back from Tucson, shout out to Colin for an amazing spring shoot. Yeah, lots and lots of used stuff that we've added. So hopefully you guys found that cool. And then I will allow us now to get back to the 85,000 questions.
The regular scheduled programming.
Let's do it. Thank you, Jose.
All right. Yeah, and I put the links on the.
Awesome.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
they can see them. Yeah. Each of these has the two cameras have a nice video overview, and I wrote up a little thing about them as well. So if you go to the site, you can read all about it. If you want to
Yeah,
learn more.
there's a
Nice.
detailed description on all of them. So, you want to talk about the event at the end of the month?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. So in
Here.
May 28th, 29th, and 30th. We've got KEH here at Leica Store Miami. So they're doing a special event where you can bring any brand of camera or lens to sell to KEH, and they'll either write you a check on the spot, or you can get a credit with us to trade for something, and you get a 10% bonus on top of whatever they would buy it for. So you've got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 3 events or 3 days at the end of May. You can just walk in. You don't need an appointment or anything. And Kevin, the KEH rep, is like the coolest dude ever. Amazing guy, super knowledgeable and just fun to talk to. So if you've got camera gear collecting dust and you want to convert it into cash or some more cool Leica gear, come by Leica Store Miami any of those days and you can get it done. So hopefully I'll see you there. I'll be
Nice.
there. So, for what it's worth.
Just out of curiosity.
We got some spots left on some workshops, not
Yeah.
a ton.
Well, it looks like 2 spots left for Istanbul in June.
Okay.
Street photography workshop. Got 3 spots left for the Moab Astro workshop, which is just awesome.
Nice.
And it looks like we have 1 spot left for Vietnam, 4 for Kenya Photo Safari, and also Svalbard for next year,
Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe,
Oh my goodness, Zimbabwe, what the heck?
Namibia. Yeah, we've got a lot of Botswana's sold out. But yeah, we have a lot of availability. So
Yeah.
if you are familiar with our workshops, they often are sold out because we do limit them to somewhere between 6 and 8 people max. So we do like these smaller group sizes. And the only reason is this: before Peter fled, to
Uzbekistan?
which I feel like I need to look at a map for that, but he did list all of these new. So this was just last week that he put these up, and already, a lot of these are filling up fast. So
Yeah.
definitely, if you're interested, check those out. We got some pretty awesome new destinations along with some old favorites as well.
Nice.
David, there was actually a question earlier about the Norway workshop. Somebody
Yeah.
wanted to sign up, but I guess they never, got the chance. It was,
Norway or Svalbard?
Svalbard, I think.
Svalbard, Norway.
Or
right?
Norway.
I think it
Well,
was Norway, but anyway,
Svalbard is in
for any
Norway.
workshop, if they can get on a waiting list, they can email us.
Yes.
Even if it's sold out. So
Oh, yeah.
You can always get on the waiting list because we get cancellations, things happen, and Peter always reaches out to people on the list before we
Yep.
mark the spots available again.
Exactly.
yeah.
Sweet. All right.
Cool.
Let's get back to questions.
go.
We've got an hour-ish, so let's do it.
Let's see. Okay. EVF versus Brightline Finder question. It's a long question, but let me see if I can summarize it. Obviously, asking about the experience of using both with a 21mm lux on an M10R.
Yeah, that's going to come down to, I think, personally, the lighting conditions. If it's really, really dark, or you're stopping your aperture really, really far down in a lower light environment, you may get a little bit of lag with an EVF. So an optical finder, of course, is lag-free. But the precision you have with framing and focusing and previewing the lenses rendering in real time with an EVF is unbeatable. So the optical viewfinder is cool. It's tiny. It gets the job done. Of course, there's no parallax correction. There's no depth of field preview, none of that. So 99% of the time, I would lean towards the electronic viewfinder and live view. Again, it may be in some extreme environments, the OVF, the optical finder, may prevail, but very, very few and far between those kind of situations.
Oh, and by the way, speaking of finders,
Yes.
I feel like I need to actually issue a correction.
Okay.
So somebody can yell at us for what we said an hour ago, but we got to set the record straight.
Tell me.
There is an external optical viewfinder that has parallax correction.
Well, the one for the universal wide-angle trial
Correct.
Or the universal finder for the wide-angle trial. Yeah, but
Yes.
that also has an spherical element and a bubble level.
I mean,
like,
but it does actually
yes, it does have parallax.
It has a dial on top to set your distance from close focus all the way to infinity, and it does actually change the parallax view. But it's also massively huge.
It's quite large, yeah.
Yes, it's quite large. All right,
And it's cool.
sorry. Moving on.
Keep it going.
Is the M11 electronic shutter yield different results from, let's say, a Q2 or SL2?
Well, just using the electronic shutter, the only limitations you'll have are the inherent limitations of an electronic shutter. So if your subject is moving quickly, you may get a little bit of that jello effect. If you're shooting in certain lighting conditions, maybe a little banding, but no, otherwise it's really about all the other
Well, I
factors.
think if we're talking about all of those cameras and taking away the mechanical shutter mechanisms, which are all different, a Q has a lens shutter, and the SL and the M have focal plane shutters. But if we're talking about electronic shutter, these are, if not identical sensors, very, very similar sensors between all three of those camera models. So the electronic sensor functionality will also be extremely similar, if not identical performance. And as Josh said, just because you can get that really high shutter speed on electronic shutter, say 16,000th of a second, it's not good for action because of the sensor readout, and you can get that kind of wobbly jelly thing. So the reason for using it is you want to use really fast glass, wide open, in bright daylight, without an ND filter. And it's great for that.
There you go.
Okay.
Next.
I need the insider scoop. How does one get a special edition body or lens? Is it invite only, purchasing history?
No, the reality is that most special editions, they're just not enough. We put it on our website, the pre-order list starts, and we get pre-orders and we fulfill them in date order. It's just not enough. I'm grateful for this because there was a time when Leica would come out with a special edition and we had to work really hard to get them all sold. So I don't take for granted the fact that now a lot of the stuff sells itself. The reality is that even though there may not be something available right away when something launches, sometimes Leica does, they don't do the full production run at once. So we may get a couple and then it looks like they're done. And then now, a few more show up. So it always helps to stay positive. It kind of depends also on the production numbers. Anything under 200 is going to be very difficult to get depending on what it is. But there are always opportunities on the secondary market. Not everything goes up in price. Some things stay the same. They go up a little, they go down. But it's part of the fun. The nice thing is 99% of the Leica portfolio is generally readily available. You get those occasional special editions that you have to chase them a little bit, but you just got to keep trying.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. I wish we got more. Obviously Leica has to distribute their production capacity across the entire global market. I would prefer they just send all of it to us at Leica Miami, but they don't seem to like to go for that for some reason.
They don't go for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Next.
All right. Are the range of SL zoom lenses optimized to perform better at the specific mark focal lengths, or do they perform equally well at all random focal lengths?
Yeah,
It's the same.
Yeah, it's the same. The marked focal lengths are just for convenience sake, just for reference if you're using regular lens. And in fact, if you look on the back of the screen in live view, as you're turning the lens, you could see the focal length displayed. Yeah, there's no this is better than that.
Just to tell you where you're at. Yeah, it's all the same. I mean, it's not all the same, but like, it's not like it's better at 50 than it is at 47. I mean, it's
right.
I mean, there's certainly a sweet spot to every zoom, usually in the middle, but no, there's just for convenience sake.
All right. Can you please explain when or when not to use a lens hood on SL and TL lenses?
Never.
Well, David doesn't use hoods. I also don't use hoods, so never. I mean, if it's well, you've shot in some environments.
So yeah, I mean, one lens that I'll use a lens shade on often is the 90-280. I mean, normally I would just use it like this, unless it's raining, and then I will put. It's a pretty long lens shade. It comes out about to here, and what's nice about that is, as long as you're not doing this, you won't get water drops in the lens. Well, also provided the wind isn't just blowing this way. So yeah, so I'll use the 90-280 lens shade in the rain. I also kind of cheat and use the more compact metal flower lens shade on the 24-90 that came with the 24-70. I want to make your life difficult.
I don't know. I'm not a hood guy. I use polarizing filters all the time. And if you have a hood on the lens,
yeah, it's inconvenient.
I can't access the polarizer, so just leave them in the box.
Yeah.
Next question.
The thing is, the lenses are so resistant to flare.
Yeah.
Not a lot of reason.
It's all good. Next question.
Okay. Just curious, what are your thoughts about modifying a Leica to make it stealth?
I mean, I don't know exactly what you mean by that. In
I
terms
think
of
I have an idea.
coming here with tape.
Yeah.
No, do not put anything with adhesive near your precious handmade German camera. I have seen so many beautiful pieces of Leica equipment just absolutely ruined by gaffer's tape, painter's tape, electrical tape, scotch tape, you name it. If you're never going to sell it or trade it and you don't care about the condition and all you want to do is make it as unassuming as possible, whatever. Do whatever you want. The reality is, if someone is trying to take your camera from you, they don't really care if there's a red dot on it. If they're at that point where they're ready to take it, they're going to take it. So, there is a 246 Monochrom Stealth Edition. So you can always buy that if you have the resources. But otherwise, I'm not a fan of doing that. If I do anything, I'll take a P model, 11P, M10P, and there's no red dot. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, in my experience, having traveled not everywhere in the world, but certainly a fair amount of it, nobody cares. I've had red dot cameras. I've had not red dot cameras. I've had SLs with big white Leica script on the front, S cameras. And the reality is most people have no idea what Leicas are. I mean, the vast majority of people, they're like, oh, it's not a, whatever, Sony, Nikon, Canon, and I don't know what that is. That's some old camera. If anything, it allows you to hide in plain sight is what I found. Having, especially if you have a silver chrome camera, you walk around with this. You walk around with this right here, which is the complete opposite of stealth. I mean, it's bright silver chrome with a red dot on it, two-tone, and yet this people will pay less attention to than if you had, all black Sony camera, because to them this looks like some old film camera, which is great.
There you go.
And the people that do recognize it, you make friends that way because they come up to you and
Right,
they're
they're
like,
Leica nerds, yeah.
they're like, oh man, nice Leica. Oh, check out what I got.
That's so funny.
So that's always part of the fun as well, is running into people who are kind of in the know as well. But I would say 99% of the general population has no clue. You do not need to worry about stealthing out your cameras.
There you go.
All right.
Next.
I have a Leica M8. Is the re-released black Leica M the same finish as the black chrome M8?
Kind of. So the matte black Leica, the new one, is technically the matte black paint that they use on the new M6 and the M11 and the M11 Monochrome. So it's not the same chemical process to make it matte black, but it looks the same. So we have in our store on display a black chrome MA with a matte black Leica on it, and it looks like a perfect match.
It does look like a perfect match. I was going to say. We also have the glossy black one, which was like amazing.
Really nice,
yeah. Oh, God.
That's a good question. I like it.
All right. I know the CL has 40mm frame lines, the
This
film
camera,
CL.
yeah.
But is there a way to add them to other M bodies?
So the answer is no,
No.
but the answer is also yes. Because if you just buy a Leica M11 and put a 40 on it, voila, you're looking at 40 through an M camera.
Wow.
But in terms of actual frame lines, there's probably somebody somewhere who's done something. But in a mainstream sense, you can have the 40 modified to bring up the frame lines you want, 40 or 50 or 35. But no, you can't put 40 frame lines.
No.
I would say if you get it done, I know Cam Mackey asked this question because I saw that come up.
Wait. I just want to clarify.
Yeah.
When you say you have the 40 modified, you're talking about the 40 millimeter lens.
Yeah,
Right.
the lens can be modified to bring up either the 50 or the 35 frame lines, whatever you like better. I would just use it on MEV1 and then you're golden. Versus like trying to do some crazy modification to a very expensive Leica camera.
Yep.
Let's go.
All right. Okay. How much improvement did Leica make across the 328 Summicron versions in the M line?
Oh, that's a great question. I'll take that if you don't mind.
Sure, go for it.
So 11604, 11672, 11618. The three numbers that matter, right? The first version of the 28 Summicron is a pre-digital era lens. Great lens, but not ultra high performance on digital bodies. Then the version 2, the 11672, which we got in 2014, optimized for digital, huge improvements in performance, but also more noticeably in build quality. It's so much better built than the previous version with a much better lens hood design. The current version is incredible because it's even more refined for high-res digital sensors. It has close focus and a really, really nice retractable lens shade. So if you have a version 1 and you use it a lot and you really like that focal length and that lens design, especially if you're going newer on the digital M's, you'll benefit a lot from the switch to the version 3, the current version. If you have a second version, I would say only get the version 3 if you need the close focus, if you really want that round lens shade, or if you're just looking to extract the most possible performance from a modern, like a 60 meg Leica sensor. They're all great.
Nice.
I grew up in the Leica world on the first version of the 20 Summicron. That's a lens that David let me use like very early on, and I loved it. It's really incredible wide open, but they have some reliability issues if you use them hard, and they've been around for 15 or 20 years, whereas the newer versions are just much more daily drivable, if that makes sense. Okay, that was a very niche question, but
okay.
I love questions like that because that's the kind of stuff
That is
I
niche.
spend literally all of my waking moments thinking.
It kind
about,
of is,
so,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can even give you the codes for the lens hood if you want, but no, we're not going to do
Let's not do that.
Next question.
Which Leica lenses make the most sense if the priorities are reliable focus, wide framing, low light, natural skin tones, and minimal grading?
That's
Well,
a lot
I mean,
of different things.
It's a lot of different things. I mean, listen, I don't think there's color difference for skin tones between the lenses. I think you're going to get consistent skin tones across decades worth of Leica lenses. There's not a lot of color difference. What were the other questions? Grading?
There's a lot of.
I mean, this sounds honestly like an SL video question to me, like because it's like
oh,
wide
like-
framing,
oh,
low
like
light,
video grading?
minimal grading, reliable focus. This sounds like SL3S and
Oh, okay.
APO Summicron SL lenses.
Possible, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, reliable focus. You know, if it's autofocus, SL3S. You know, low light, natural skin tones, and minimal grading. So.
I mean,
I think we're talking more about the cameras than we are talking about the lenses.
The lenses are going to give you most of the modern lenses have the same basic
Performance,
performance in that respect. It's
And
just
look.
not different enough to make that. I mean, if you want performance, get APOs
yeah.
or the modern 35, 75 Noctilux or 90 Summilux, 35 APO, 50 APO. Those lenses are
Yeah.
kings.
We're talking about M lenses, yeah.
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 Right.
But
Next
in
question.
the SL, I would say the APO
The APOs,
Summicron
yeah,
SL
they're
lenses.
unbeatable, yeah.
Yeah.
The primes, yeah. So okay,
What's next?
cool. All right. I'm a big user profile user on the Q343. What is the easiest way to switch between them?
Oh, I would probably
quick
just
menu? Or
well, no,
function
you
button?
can assign a function button to that. I would probably do like one of the top,
You can do overhead.
one of the two buttons on the top for that. So let me just bring that up before we show it. Yeah. There we go. So if we can come to the overhead. So if I press and hold the function button here, I can assign that to user profile, and then I can use that to bring up my user profiles. On this camera, I just have the default. But that's what I would do. The thing is, if you do that, you need to make sure that as you create each user profile, you assign the button to bring up user profiles. Because if you only do it the first time and then you forget the next time, then the button goes back to whatever it was before. So make sure when you save your profiles that you've assigned that button to activate user profiles. You can also do it on the quick menu right here, like that, another way. So there's that pretty easy to access. I agree, because I use user profiles all the time. I generally just do it on a function button because I don't necessarily need all the buttons for everything else. So I can just tap it and then pick my profile.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. If you own the 35 APO Summicron-M and the 50 Noctilux 0.95, is there a compelling reason to add the 35 1.2 Noctilux?
I mean, there's always compelling
Yeah,
reasons.
exactly. I could give it. We have a 2-hour show and we talk about this. So how much time?
I mean, I think when we talked about the 35 Noctilux, if you want to look at that episode, we went into some depth about not just the image quality testing of the 35 Noctilux versus the 35 Summilux and the 35 APO, but also kind of making some of those decisions about what would fit best in your kit. They're very different. They're very different in terms of lenses, because I'd say the 35 APO Summicron is one of my favorites just because it's so high performing and it's so compact. But Leica did a pretty incredible job with this 35 Noctilux, because it's not just about the look, it's also extremely high performing.
Yeah.
Also.
Watch the episode, because I do a really in-depth comparison of the 35 APO versus Summilux versus Noctilux. So you really can understand where they all fall.
Yeah.
35 Noctilux is incredible, but it's pretty dense for an M lens. It's an E49 filter thread size. It also doesn't focus as close in the close focus mode as the APO does. So despite the fact that they're both similarly priced and the same focal length, they are very, very different in that upper echelon space of Leica lenses.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Okay. All right. For someone new to the Leica SL system and focused primarily on photography rather than video, can you give a practical comparison of your real-world experience shooting the SL3 versus the SL3S?
For still or video?
For still, he said.
Photography.
They said for still.
For still.
Yeah.
Yeah. Primarily photography, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I tend to gravitate to the SL3 over the SL3S. My colleague Colin tends to gravitate to the SL3S. Peter also likes the SL3S. This is an SL3S. It's probably just because the letters are blacked out, obviously. No. They like the focus performance and the low light performance. Colin especially, because he shoots astrophotography, is our main astrophotography instructor. And he's not as concerned with total megapixels as he is with low light performance. And, so for him, the S version is going to be primarily what he's after. If you're shooting a lot of wildlife or a lot of fast-moving, fast-paced portrait sessions, the autofocus in the SL3S is hard to beat, especially the face and body detection, the animal detection, and the tracking. I don't tend to shoot things that move very fast because, as I say, mountains and trees and waterfalls tend to stay kind of in the same place that I put them relative to my tripod. So I'm a big SL3 person because I'm looking to get the most pixels on the scene and dynamic range and all that. So that's my thing.
If I could chime in as well, I would say for most people, the SL3 is the right answer.
Yeah.
Because the resolution and the dynamic range the SL3 offers is unbeatable. The SL3S is just about autofocus performance and shooting speed.
Yeah.
I took the SL3S to the Nürburgring last year, which is a very famous racetrack in Germany, and I shot race cars driving around, and it was awesome because I didn't care about resolution or dynamic range because I'm just shooting in the sun cars. But for every other situation that I'm in, I'm using the SL3 because I'm not photographing race cars. So I can certainly make an argument to have both, but if what you're photographing is mostly not moving or not moving very fast, you'll take advantage of the resolution and dynamic range improvements of the 3 over the speed of the 3S.
Yeah. Well said.
Next question.
Okay. All right. I have seen third-party batteries for the Q3. Are they trustworthy or not?
I mean, I can't speak to a product that we don't sell, but what I can tell you is because the battery of the Q and the SL cameras is part of the body's weather sealing, and there's electronics in the battery that the camera reads to know how to do its things, I would strongly advise against third-party batteries for any Leica camera. Simple as that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Apart from the APOs, Leica M
yeah,
lenses with the sharpest consistency edge-to-edge sharpness wide open at f1.4 or f2.
Well, you don't shoot at 1.4 because you want sharpness across the frame. So, like, I'm sorry if that was a snarky answer. I mean, 35 APO, 75 Noctilux, 90 Summilux, 50 APO, 35 Noctilux. Those are the
28 Summilux is pretty.
oh 28
28
Summilux
Summilux,
and
yeah.
21 Super Elmar. Yeah.
Well,
He's at 1.4 or f2.
Oh.
But yeah.
No, 21 Super Elmarit is definitely not in that
no,
category.
definitely not. Well, yeah.
Fantastic.
I
but-
mean, I don't shoot Leica lenses for the most part because I want maximum performance. M lenses, I mean. Sorry, I don't shoot M lenses for the most part, depending on what I'm doing. For the maximum wide open performance, I should say. Obviously, you stop them down and they're insane.
yeah.
I shoot them for the look. That being said, there are some M lenses, like I just listed,
Yeah.
that are crazy good. I mean, the 35 APO is the best
Yeah.
by a pretty significant margin.
It's sharp everywhere.
75 Noctilux and 90 Summilux would be
Very close,
equal as
yeah,
second
yeah,
best.
yeah.
Those lenses are mind-blowing.
For sure.
So that would be my answer to that question.
Yeah, and then if you gravitate into the SL system, all of the APO Summicron SL lenses, wide open, are nearly as sharp in the corners as they are in the center across 21 to 90 millimeters.
An SL 35 APO at f2 compares to an SL or an M35-14 at 5.6. I mean, it's, it's crazy. It's
yeah.
crazy. And I know this because I've actually tested it. It's not just like hearsay. I promise.
Yeah.
That was a good question, though.
Okay. With tech always changing and speeds and memory size always increasing and improving, do you recommend a brand SD card that works best with Leica?
I've been very happy with the Lexar cards. Been using them for a long time. So personally, I use they're like 1700X cards or whatever. I'm surprised I don't have any on me because there's like
There's like 8,700 cards scattered around the studio, like feeding,
wait, here they are.
feeding the pigeons in Manhattan with memory
There
cards.
you go.
It's
Here,
ridiculous.
I have one.
Oh,
right here.
look at that! You
Look at
found one. There we go.
Here. So yeah, I use this.
Can we even see that? Oh yeah.
Yep.
You just get the light. There you go.
So it's a little Lexar 1667X 250 megabyte card, and you can see it's a UHS2 card because we've got 2 rows of pins. So this is what I use for basically any kind of M, Q. I would use it on SL, although these days I'm using a comparable card in the Compact Flash Express Type B in the SL, just because it's so blazing fast. And again, just to be clear, I don't care about the speed in the camera. I'm not shooting sports. What I care about the speed is the download speed to my computer when I'm done shooting 400 pictures in the day and I really want to get to sleep, but I also need to make sure the images are good and there's no problems with the camera or me, right? So that card I think is 1700 megabytes per second. This card is 250 megabytes per second. My math skills tell me that 1700 is a lot bigger than 250, and that means more sleep for me.
There you go.
So yeah, the Lexar cards are great, but just be aware if you're watching this right now, May 9th on broadcast, greetings from the past if you're watching this in the future, but as of today, there is a kind of a global memory card and just solid state storage in general global shortage right now. Prices are kind of through the roof right now, so maybe use your old memory cards before shopping for new ones. Yeah. But SSDs, memory cards, everything's about double the price it was a couple of years ago. I'm confident that things will level back out and go back to the way they were.
There you go. Next question.
All right. I'm interested in getting an M6, and there are 2 versions. Please explain.
Well, there's way more than 2 versions. But you're probably talking about the original M6 released in 1984 and the M6 reissue released in 2022. So they're 2 very different cameras because the reissue is a brand new camera you can buy off the shelf, full warranty. It's based internally on the MP. We have a whole video where we break down the differences between the MP, the M6, and the MA.
Yep.
Where the original M6, well, it's a vintage camera made out of zinc. It's much lighter.
Yep.
Not much lighter, but it's lighter. It's older. You're going to have to buy one and probably get it serviced. The M6 originally did not come with the more flare-resistant viewfinder that we got in the MP, which we have in the M6 reissue. You can have the MP viewfinder retrofitted into the M6, depending on what you're doing. So even though they're both called the M6 and they both fundamentally work the same way, meaning they're a rangefinder camera with M lenses and an M mount.
Very different generation.
Very different generations, and there's a lot of factors, primarily budget and tolerance of needing service and desire to use something older versus wanting to buy a brand new product with a great warranty and, you know.
But I would say that the classic M6, the 1980s, 1990s ones, and they made them all the way through, 2000, 1999?
Well, yeah, through the TTL, you know.
Well, I'm saying, but if we don't include the TTL.
Oh, yeah. So they're technically into the early 2000s, but 99 would be. Yeah.
Right. So let's say 84 to 99 is what many consider to be the classic M6. And the camera has a cult following. I mean, it's definitely, you know, up until the modern cameras, I mean, it was one of the lightest M's ever made.
Yeah, I mean, the classic M6 is an awesome camera. We sell them all the time. The other cool thing you could do with the M6 is they made a couple of them, later ones in 0.85.
They did, yeah.
Just sold one the other day. Super, super, super cool to be able to have that finder, which Leica doesn't really retrofit anymore. So, yeah, I would say just evaluate your needs, understanding that an original M6 is a vintage camera. Even the newest one's going to be just about 30 years old, versus you could walk into Leica store Miami and buy a brand new M6, full warranty, you're the first owner.
Yep.
Modern camera, modern finder, you're going to work great.
Yep. Modern electronics.
Yeah. Yeah, and a meter that can still be serviced, which you can service on the original M6. Yeah.
All right. I noticed Leica Store Miami sells specific Leica replacement parts. Are there any resources or formal pathways to learn how to do minor analog camera servicing, repairs, or customizations?
I mean, I can't speak to that because I can't even change a light bulb. I have to hire someone to put my IKEA furniture together. So
it's true.
It's really bad.
He's not kidding about the IKEA furniture.
I would say, you know, we sell parts that are user replaceable, like things that you can unscrew or rescrew or a base plate. I couldn't speak to like doing your own repairs. Do it at your own risk. I certainly avoid accepting Leicas on trade-in that have been modified by anyone other than like customer care or DAG or Canto or something, just because there's too many risks there. But if you own it and you want to take it apart and tinker with it, like, I don't know, I ain't gonna stop you. Just don't try to trade it to me afterwards. That's what I'll say to that.
All right, next question.
Next question.
All right. I have the M11 and I'm wondering if using medium or small size RAW photos benefits me in any way besides saving memory storage. Does using lower megapixel make the camera shake not noticeable?
No. I mean, probably not. So it's pixel binning, so it is actually still capturing the individual pixels and then subsampling them around. So my guess is that if you're going to get some camera movement because of the high megapixels, you're going to see it at the lower RAW settings anyway, because it is still using the full sensor array. It's not selectively just picking and choosing pixels. When early marketing came out for the M11 and they came out with the triple resolution technology of LDNG, MDNG, SDNG, the initial marketing said, oh, and you'll increase your dynamic range by a stop by shooting at the lower resolutions because we're binning the pixels and all this and low light sensitivity. Well, of course, we tested that right away, and I did a full review on the M11, and I can tell you that no, it's not better at any better. It's exactly the same identical performance between the largest and the smallest RAW DNG files in terms of low light ability, noise performance, and dynamic range. So there is zero benefit. And in fact, after that initial launch of the camera, those marketing talking points went away. Leica never really talked about it again. And now the messaging is around, oh, well, you just need smaller files for faster burst rates. And it's true. If you shoot small DNG, SDNG, you can burst unlimited. I mean, you could just press it down and it will just shoot forever until you fill your memory card up. And maybe that's what you need for whatever high-speed photography you're doing with an M camera. But we have found that it is best to leave it in LDNG to get the most image quality on the camera. And I would add a caveat to that, which is with modern noise reduction techniques, having more smaller pixels results in better noise reduction. So you're actually getting lower noise end result after AID noise than you would with a lower resolution of the same picture.
Sweet.
Okay, moving on.
Moving on. Next question.
Right. I have an SL3, thanks to Josh, with
You're
a
welcome.
Varial Elmarit 28-70. I love it. I need advice on my next lens. Which would you suggest for longer field of view? The 100-400 or 70-200?
Well, we do have a show on all the telephoto options. I would
We
say
just did it last week or two or whatever a month
no,
ago.
no. The one we did on the 700, 100, 400, 9280.
Oh.
That's like last year.
I mean, we also did it on.
The 100 to 400 has the benefit of being lighter, considerably less expensive, and having inherently longer reach. The 7200 has pretty noticeably faster autofocus and, of course, a consistent 2.8 aperture across the range. And you can add the extender to it if you want. It is more expensive. I generally would gravitate towards the 7200. Maybe that's because I was a sports photographer in my prior life, and that was like the go-to focal length. But you just have to look at your needs, right? Do you need the least weight, the most flexibility without having to add a teleconverter? What's your budget? What's your aperture requirements? I couldn't just throw it out there, but that's how I would make that decision with those variables in mind. And watch that episode because we covered that pretty in depth.
I'd agree. I'd say if the weight's not an issue, I'd do the 70-200.
Yeah, it's a sweet lens.
Actually, I have a couple more questions related to this, so we can just kind of
Fire
keep
away.
going.
Excuse me.
How does the 100-400 work with the 1.4x extender?
It works well.
It's
I mean,
okay.
you lose autofocus speed and image quality at the long end, and of course, a stop of aperture. Again, we do cover all that in super depth
A lot of depth.
in that episode, so I don't want to just dismiss that. But I would say to get you to 560, it's the only way. So there you go.
And then 100-400 or 92-80?
Again, watch the show. 9280. There's a reason that lens costs like 4 times as much.
Yeah.
That lens is the best telephoto lens Leica has ever made, hands down. It's mind-boggling.
Amazing. Yeah.
It's heavy, but when you get used to it and you start to learn how to balance it in your kit with the right setup,
What you got to do.
yeah, I've seen. I mean, watch our last episode, part 2 of SL lenses, and we
Yeah.
show David's and mine and viewer submitted images from that lens, and you'll understand why it's so good.
Yeah. I mean, my favorite is the 9280. It's 2.8 to f4. F4 is certainly not slow. It's got just gorgeous image quality across the board, and it outperforms any of Leica's previous fixed focal length telephotos.
Yeah,
Prime telephotos. It's incredible.
yeah, nice.
All right. Is the S camera still relevant versus the SL3?
Absolutely. If you want the greatest optical viewfinder you've ever seen in your life, and you want a camera that's, I don't want to say indestructible, but extremely durable,
Oh, I mean, it's a tank.
and they've become incredible values, especially the S Type 007.
One of my favorites.
I think we just listed one with like a full $1,500 to $2,000 service, for like $2,000 with full, or $2,000, I think like $4,000, something like that.
Wow.
Whatever. Considering that
steal.
camera was $20,000 when it was new.
It's a steal.
If you want an SLR, not an EVF camera, that is the way to go. And the lenses are getting cheap. They're crazy, crazy good. And if you want, you can get an S camera, a couple of S lenses, and then like an SL2 with an S adapter
Yeah.
to have the stabilization and the modern EVF if you need it. And you've got yourself a really, really nice kit.
Yeah. I mean, I'd add that, SL lenses are just or S lenses are pretty magical because they were at that transition period where they have a lot of the elements of the ultra high performance that we see in the SL lineup, and those lenses laid the groundwork for SL lenses. But they also have this incredible, almost M-like character to the lenses as well. So they balance this extraordinary high performance with extraordinary unique look as well. And then I do recommend. I did an article on S lenses. So I have an S lens.
That's right, the guide, yes.
Guide to
So
S lenses.
good, yeah.
Where I have sample images from every single lens because I shot with the S system as my primary camera for 10 years. So I have a real soft spot in my heart for the S, especially the S007 was one of my all-time
Oh, yeah.
favorite cameras.
It's got live view. It's got Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
David has an article about shooting at night with the 007.
Which is
I mean,
insane.
it's so
Street-
cool.
street photography at
Yes,
night,
it's
yes.
so cool to see what you can do with that camera. So I still think at the great price points now, especially like a freshly serviced setup, there's a lot of fun to be had in the S world.
Yeah, and if Jose can just pop over to the screen just for a second. So this is that article. If you want to check it out on your own, Jose can drop a link. But it's this guide to S lenses that I wrote a few years ago. And yes, that actually was my camera bag back in the day when I had that old
The Kata bag, yes.
Kata Bumblebee.
The Bumblebee, yes. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
And yes, I actually used S lenses like that with no lens
Oh,
caps.
I'm getting PTSD looking at it.
But I do explain why the negative whatever focal factor on medium format looks the way it does. So if you read the article, you can kind of get an explanation as to.
It's a really, really cool article.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of great images.
Right.
Sorry to interrupt you, but it's just
No,
very
it's
good.
okay. Yeah.
Good
So
job,
yeah, but you can see these are images that I took back in the day with the S camera, primarily obviously for landscape, but also some people and environmental shots as well.
Yeah, I was with you on some of these.
Yeah, I mean, this is what's incredible to me is like this shot here. This is taken with a Leica S2 that came out in 2009 with a CCD sensor.
Yeah, so no, here we go again.
But it's not the CCD look. But the fact that this image kind of holds up to modern standards is incredible. So,
Yeah, I mean, in my house, I have two 20 by 30 prints framed from that actual same workshop with the S2
right.
in the White Mountains. And man, they look good.
And that's the 007, which,
So
yeah, the 007, it's just
good.
such a natural, beautiful look for these things. So
If you're curious about what the S007 or the S3 can do, just go on Red Dot Forum, like not Red Dot Forum Camera Talk, the YouTube channel thing, but Red Dot Forum
the
blog,
website. Yeah, the website.
and just search around for S content because it's really, really cool.
yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
we're running out of time.
Anyway,
so let's
all
keep
right,
going.
let's come back.
Let's keep going.
But I'm always amazed when I look at.
Yeah. Especially with, we're keep going, but especially with the modern processing on the S files. Oh, insane.
Yeah,
Okay,
so good.
We must keep going. Yes.
All right.
It's the steel.
I know.
Why am I not shooting with that?
Stop talking.
All right.
Okay. How does the performance of the 50 millimeter APO M compare against the 35 millimeter APO M?
35 APO is better
A little bit, yeah.
just because it's 9 years newer, 2012 versus 2021.
See,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, 50 APO is crazy good, but the 35 APO, if you're only talking about outright performance, like in the normal situations, the 35 APO is a little bit better.
I mean, the reality is if you stop both those lenses down to f8, they're going to perform almost identically in terms of resolution.
Right, I think they mean wide open though.
But wide open, yeah, the 35.
35 APO is like
have an edge.
a transformative
Yeah.
lens for Leica because it just is so far beyond anything we've ever seen in terms of performance. For
I mean, I would say, not to sell the 50 APO short, it came out in 2012, along with the first Monochrom. And it was Peter Carba's pet project. And really, I think that changed the direction. It was such a pivotal lens that it changed the direction of lens development for Leica.
We wouldn't have the 35 APO
No.
if we didn't start with the 50 APO.
Yes.
In my opinion, I think
Yes.
I think that lens really set the path for these really
High performing.
like what do you call it? Like flagship
Sure.
technology platforms. So yeah, I think they're both exceptional, and I could easily have both.
And I do have both.
He does have both.
I would say though that to tip the scales in the favor of the 35 APO is that close focus ability is game changing.
Yeah.
So going down to only 0.7 meters on the 50 versus going down to 0.3 meters on the 35 is
There you go.
crazy.
All right.
Yeah.
Next.
Is the dynamic range on the M11 better than the SL3?
Maybe like fifth the stop or
Only
something.
at ISO 64 versus ISO.
Correct,
100.
yeah.
It's so negligible that I have yet to actually discover.
I mean, yes, in like really critical testing, yes. I have noticed that the M11 is ever so slightly more dynamic range.
There you go.
Especially, I would say, especially in the highlights. The M11 has more highlight recovery than any other camera I've ever used.
Sweet.
But don't blow your highlights.
Yeah. Just don't.
Just don't.
All right.
Next question.
Could you share your experience or knowledge of the Leica Tele-Elmarit 90mm thin model? I've seen both Canadian and German versions.
Josh, you go
Yeah,
for
the 90 Elmarit or the 90 Tele-Elmarit,
I mean-
which preceded the 90 Elmarit,
Yeah,
which
but
the
this-
lens David
right.
liked.
that. It's right here.
It's a lens that doesn't get a lot of love, and that's reflected in the price point. It definitely has a unique rendering, but it's very low contrast. Performance is not exceptional. I think for the money, it's a great option. They can be 6-bit coded, which is excellent. They're very difficult to service if they have haze, especially between cemented elements. That's kind of like it. Yeah, I think when they're, under, even the best examples are under 2,000 or under, even some under 1,000 I've seen, for non-6-bit ones. They're pretty fun. I would say I would have more fun with a pre-aspheric 90 Summicron than I would with a Tele-Elmarit. The Tele-Elmarit comes in a couple of flavors. You'll hear the thin and fat, literally just the shape of the barrel. The thin ones are thinner. And the thin Elmarits are quite small. They're a little more delicate than the later iterations like the 90 Elmarit and the 90 Summicron preaspheric. But I think, again, if you're looking for a very functional, lightweight 90 that leans towards vintage, and you're probably going to spend time topping it down, I think the Tele-Elmarit, either the fat or the thin, is perfectly fine. But I would say for a daily driver, I would go with a 90 Elmarit like David uses, a 90 Summaron, or a 90 APO. Again, there's a lot of options depending on what you want to do. And we do have a telephoto M lens episode from back in the day.
We do.
Where we dive into that even deeper. David's 90 Elmarit.
And I would say we do get a fair amount of these used.
Yeah, 90 Elmarit, the 11807 is a very widely available lens. They can be serviced, they can be 6-bit coded, they have a retractable shade.
They generally look better than this one.
That one's pretty rough. Yeah, they came in silver chrome, they came in titanium. They're cool. And, you know, we got to make stuff fast because it's a really good option. And there's no fast small 90 anymore. These are the 90 f4 macro, 90 Summicron, 90 Summilux. So this is still, I think, a lens that holds up well in the modern era.
I mean, I use it on the M11. It's great.
There you go.
All right. I have a 35mm APO. I think about selling it for a 35mm Noctilux. Does that make sense?
Watch the show. I'm not going to tell you to spend $10,000 on a lens without watching that 2-hour show. So we talk about. I can't get into it now, but they're different lenses.
Yeah.
They're different lenses. So watch that 35 Noctilux episode because we like deep dive into that.
Deep dive.
Is there any difference in sharpness between M lenses on M bodies versus M lenses on SL bodies?
A little bit.
I used to think so until I realized it was just because I'm better at focusing M lenses on an M body than I am on an SL. I think the magnified view in the VisiFlex or on the EV1 is just a little bit easier to critically focus M lenses than it is on the SL3. That's all.
Maybe.
Yeah, but otherwise, no, they're negligible.
All right. I have a fixed extension ring, 16469. What lenses do you recommend? I tried this with on my M11P. I have the 35 Noctilux, 50 Summilux, 24 Elmar, and Summicron, 75 Summicron.
I mean, definitely not the 24.
The thing is, any kind of extension ring, which essentially relocates the position of the lens on the lens mount,
Like this.
you have to be mindful of lenses with floating lens elements, and they're lenses that are designed for the various pieces of glass to sit a very specific distance away from the imaging plane. So when you push that distance out, you give up a lot of performance, especially at or near wide open aperture. The best lens to use the macro adapter or your older extension ring on is the 90 macro, whether the current version or the previous version, or some of the older Summaron, 75 and 90 Summaron, or any lens that has less exotic glass. So ironically,
Well, like this.
it's the it's the less exotic lenses that work
Yes.
better with the extension tubes than the modern ones because they're just not made to be shifted off of the imaging plane like that.
Yeah, or like a classic 50 cron. You know, would be a nice lens that you could use with that. If you were looking for something that's, let's say, inexpensive, I wouldn't use a 50 APO with it because again, you have that floating element
Correct.
design.
Yeah,
It's
you're doing
really
yourself more harm than good at that point.
here's the thing. You could do it. You just would want to stop down more.
Yeah, you're still even at F8. You're giving
we
up.
demonstrated
performance.
this.
I mean, you can watch the macro episode. We
Yes.
do get into that. Yeah.
We actually demonstrated this in live shooting using the macro adapter and showing with different lenses on it, which the macro adapter M essentially is, if you see like
it's an extension tube. Yeah.
yeah, see I can put my
But we got to. We're running out of time. We're going to try to get in as many questions in the next 6 to 8 minutes as we can. So
go
go.
Oh, okay.
lightning round.
I put a flash on my Q343. It was the wrong one. I messed up the hot shoe cover, which no longer works. Where and how do I send the camera to get repaired?
Oh,
Assuming you're in the USA, like a customer care in New Jersey, they will take care of it.
okay.
They're awesome. Tell them I said hi.
Just received my new Silver 50 Summilux. Quick question regarding the front lens cap. Does it typically come with the snap-on black cap or with a silver metal cap?
So the push-on metal caps only come on certain lenses, just a handful. All the new Summilux 3550 close focus, they just come with your plastic clip-on cap, which is far more ideal because when you drop it, it doesn't wake up everyone in your house because those metal caps are very loud. But no, so there's no cap that I know currently that fits on the 50 Summilux close focus. Just no metal cap. I mean, just the plastic one.
Yep. Next.
Okay. Can you just mount new Leica M glass on Sony without issues at the edges?
I don't know.
We don't shoot Sony, so I don't know. I can't speak to that. I don't know.
The answer, I mean, I
You don't
don't
need to answer. It's all right.
I don't know about the latest one, but historically they don't wide angle M lenses don't do very well on non-Leica bodies because
But we can't. But you thing is, we don't shoot that stuff now, so we can't speak
No,
to it. So
but-
let's go to the next question.
they're not designed for it.
Let's go to the next question. Yeah.
What's the best lens for birds in flight for an SL camera?
Probably the 100 to 400. I think if you need the reach, yeah, a 90 to 280 if you don't, and it just depends. I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. We say that. We have 2 shows about it depends, but next.
All right. I own an SL2S and a Voigtlander 28. What should be the next purchase? New body, M11P or EV1, or a new lens, 35 APO or 35 Summilux?
New lens. You're gonna get so much more out of that lens upgrade, especially the 35 APO, than you would from a new camera, in my opinion. SL2S is supremely capable, as you know, Jose, because you have one. Yeah, that's my short answer.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or an SL lens.
David agrees.
SL lens.
All right. Has anyone else had an issue with the lens cap on the 35mm APO Summicron not staying securely on the lens?
Everybody has. It's, oh my goodness, it's the #1 complaint, which is, I think, a hilarious complaint.
I never had the problem.
I have begged OTEC to make a cap for the 35 APO hood. Will they one day? We can only hope. Until then, you have 2 options, short options. #1, take off the hood, use the thread ring, and use a standard E39 cap like the breakthrough caps. #2, the 12465 lens hood from the 35 Summilux FLE version 1 is a perfect fit on the 35 APO. So if you really want to use a hood and you really need to use a hood cap, get the 12465 hood, and you can either use the 1241 or 14212 cap that comes with that hood, which is awful, or OTEC does make a 12465 cap replacement. So that plus that hood plus 35 APO equals solution.
My solution's simpler.
No,
just don't use the lens cap.
Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him.
What I do.
Next question.
All right. Thinking of trading my Q2 for an M11. The Q2 feels so clinical and I'm not loving the images or using it. How steep is the learning curve for the M system versus the Q? I shoot an SL2 for regular work.
Less steep than a couple of hours of Lightroom training to get the files looking the way you want out of the Q2, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, if you're already using an SL2, any kind of more modern upgrade, you'll feel right at home. I mean, I would say maybe the easiest transition for you is going to be an MEV1.
Ooh, there you go. The MEV1 is the answer to everyone's problems. I just want to.
No, I mean, listen.
Serious. I love that camera.
If there's someone who's shooting Q already and shooting an SL already, they're obviously comfortable with a live view experience, and the MEV1 is the best live view experience for M.
Oh yeah, so sweet.
Done.
We have a whole episode on it. So you
Or give a shot for the Q3 because I think you might find it, especially if, let's say, the 28's not your jam. The Q343 is fantastic.
There you go.
Okay. Have Leica Monochrom cameras removed on top of the sensor to allow better infrared photography?
Wait, what?
No. Every modern Leica camera that
Has an IR
has an IR filter over
yeah.
the sensor to avoid that issue. So no, you have to modify it somehow for it to be.
Yes, the Bayer filter is removed. Yes, it's more sensitive to light.
But not infrared.
No, it's not more sensitive to infrared.
Yeah.
Please recommend a camera for Saga videography, mainly with keeping in mind I will require autofocus to catch the action.
I mean the SL3S.
SL3S.
Yeah, the only one. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. How to deal with Moray shooting videos on the SL3?
I don't shoot videos, so couldn't tell you.
I mean, the solution there is try ever so slightly different focal length. You can stop down a little more, which interestingly, diffraction in the case of moire will help you eliminate moire. Or have people not wear tight patterns.
There you go. All right, keep them coming.
All right. Is there a more efficient process to select the correct vintage M lens from the lens profile other than diving into the camera settings? Maybe like mapping lens profile to a menu title?
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
either do
there is.
2 things: or a custom, one of the function buttons for lens profiles, or different user profiles where the only change is a preset vintage M lens profile.
Yeah.
And you can just name them as such. We got time for a few more. Let's go.
Let me see. Hi, Bez.
I don't want to hear best anything. Let's
Strength of an ND filter with Noctilux or Summilux for outdoor daylight.
3
sunny
stops.
day.
3 or 4 stops.
Okay.
Or a modern M11 MEV1, you don't need one.
Well, unless you don't want to use electronic shutter if what
I
you're shooting
guess.
is moving.
Yeah,
then
3
I'd say
stops.
3 or 4 stops. is good.
3 stops.
I would like to know why the collapsible 50mm Elmar is not an Elmarit.
I don't think they had Elmarits back then. They just called them Elmars. I wonder if that's a good question. I wasn't born then, so I can't speak to that.
Sure about that?
What is y'all's favorite vintage film M?
Well, I already answered that.
Yeah.
M4P is my favorite.
Yeah.
And I mean, M7's not vintage.
Well, it could be. We're getting there. It's getting there.
No, I'd say my favorite vintage one is an M6. How's that?
All right, that's cool.
M3, I would say.
Keep them coming.
Sure. All right.
Well, M2 is
Hey
nice.
guys, for controlled indoor 2-person video work, mostly tripod with some handheld, would you choose SL3S with SL zooms or primes or adapted M lenses?
The first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, SL lenses.
Yeah.
SL lenses.
I thought we were shooting
SL3.
this show with.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. I wanted to replace my Nikon ZF with 100 to 400 lens with a Leica. I have all 3 Qs and just want a longer lens on Leica. I'm open to M, EV1 only, or SL. What M lens?
SL.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you want reach,
Yeah.
SL. Yeah.
Right. M lenses are going to top out at 135
Yeah, and then you have to start adapting, and then it's no. Just
No,
get
it's
an
not worth
SL3, 100 or 400, and you're good.
or 90 to 280.
Or that. Yeah.
All right. Since the iPhone standard lens is equivalent to a 26mm lens, is 28mm now considered the new normal lens?
No, normal is
30.
50.
35.
Well, normal is what your eyes see, which is
50,
43.
Right, 43. But I would say that Leica has actually spoken about this specifically when they came out with the original Q Type 116 back in 2015. They said and that's when iPhone photography was really starting to take off. And they said, well, iPhone cameras are 28mm back then. They weren't 26. And they said, this is what a lot of people are used to seeing. So we're trying to bring it to the masses and whatever. And you could always crop. So yes, in Leica world, in the Q, the original Q, the Q2, the original Q3 are all 28 because of the prevalence of phone photography.
All right, I feel like we got to call it at some point. Unless you want to keep going.
I don't know. Jose, how many
There's
more?
more. They're going to
Maybe
keep
one-
coming in.
Maybe one more. Or
Okay,
two
let's
more?
do.
Yeah.
Let's each answer one more, and then you'll sign us off. How's that?
There's a good one that just came in.
All right.
Is there a difference in optical formula from the 50 Summilux version 3 and the new 50mm Summilux reissue?
Yeah, so Leica stays pretty faithful to the original designs for the classic series lenses, but they're never going to be exactly the same because they are designed for digital cameras. They have modern coatings. If you want a lens that renders like a 50 Summilux version 3, get a 50 Summilux version 3. If you want a modern lens with all the perks of a modern lens, 6-bit coating, a regular filter size, close focus, warranty, brand new, you don't have to hunt it down, then the
Get the
reissue is
classics.
the reissue is amazing.
I mean, also where they did stay true to the classics, I think more, say, with the Summaron and the Thambar, this one's a hybrid because I call it the version 123. Because,
it incorporates a lot of different designs.
Yeah.
I love the classic 51.4 reissue. I think that was a brilliant choice on their part to make it look like a version 1, version 2, but with none of the limitations of like the close focus or the weird filter size and all that stuff. So,
yeah, the advantages of the version 2 and 3, but with the styling of the one.
and we have a great episode on 50 Summiluxes, which came out before that lens came out, but you can still get a sense of where it all sits. All right, that's David gets one more, and then we'll.
I get one more? Okay.
All right, David. This
Better
is
be
from-
good, Jose.
this
It's
from
all on the
Mark.
line right
No
now.
pressure.
I own a Leica M8. Any suggestions on what to do with it? Keep or sell? That's from Mark.
Donate.
Mark B. You know him.
I mean, listen, M8's the OG. It started it all. But we've come a long, long way. I think the M8 still can produce images today. It is 10 megapixels, so you do have to accept the limitations of that and what you can do with those images. If you're producing online content, it's probably fine. Remember, 4K video, which, people have 100-inch TVs that are 4K, that's 8 megapixels. So kind of put that in perspective, right? So you've got at least a 4K resolution image. But if you're going to be displaying in a gallery or wall size or whatever, it can be a little limiting. I think that certainly given your M experience, I would take a look, maybe, even if you don't want to go all the way to an M11, check out an M10. That generational jump is pretty massive from an M8 to an M10.
I say get it serviced and use it. Just treat it like shooting slide film. Keep it at ISO 160
Yeah.
and shoot it in daylight, and just have a good time with it. Something funky.
So trade it for an M lens.
Yeah. All right, you want to sign us off, David?
No, not really.
I know. We could literally be here all night answering your questions.
I thought we were gonna just like hang out,
is that-
whatever.
yeah. Where are the beers at? Then yes, you bring me German beer and I'll be here
Beer
all
break, and then we come back.
night. But yeah, right, yeah.
All
Maybe for 100th episode we should do like a telethon, or we're just
Oh,
like on all night.
no.
Can you imagine?
24 hours of.
Wait, until we raise a certain amount of money, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
There's obviously. Yeah.
They have to pay us
yes,
to get off
to
the
get
air.
off the air. Yes.
I like that.
Yeah.
I
We
like
got
that.
5 more to go, so we'll figure something.
5 more to go. Listen, and if you have any ideas on what we should do for our 100th
Oh, no.
episode,
Don't solicit the crowd.
let us know. Let us know.
That's right. We got 5 more episodes or 5 more months basically until our 100th. So
Wow. So I've got time to procrastinate that. Perfect. Did you find out when our next episode is?
nope. So
Do that.
We'll have to let's see.
Sometime next month, right?
Well, I don't think we actually finalized that yet because of all the travels and adventures and
Yeah.
sandwiches I have to eat and stuff.
Sandwiches.
Let's see. Are we waiting in June, right? Let's see. It looks like no. I think it's the end. I feel like it's the end of June.
Is it?
It's so far I see June 20th. June 20th. Saturday, June 20th is apparently our next show.
Unless it changes.
Unless it changes.
Listen.
Unless we feel like doing it at a different day.
Right. You need to subscribe
Yes.
so you know when we post new content, because we don't even know when we post new
We
content.
really don't.
We really don't.
It's a free for all already.
It's a complete free for all. Yes. So please, if you like the video, you know what to do. Give us the old thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell so you know when we actually do stuff before we know when we're doing stuff.
That's right.
Also, if you ever missed any of the episodes, there is a playlist linked in the description below for all the past 95 Red Dot Forum Camera Talk episodes that you can watch in full 4K glory, because we're crazy and do stuff like that. You can also check out the website at red.forum.com, which gives Leica the latest Leica news, reviews, tech articles, firmware, much more, and deep dives on S lenses and Lightroom presets and CCD versus CMOS and all the fun things in the old written format. And also, if you want to support the channel, the absolute best way that you can do that, beyond subscribing and looking at websites, is to help support the channel by making all your Leica purchases at Leica Store Miami, because it's what pays for everything.
Right.
So,
Vintage M2. Wait. Original box. You need it. You need it. I'm just saying.
perfect. So, now that's over. Big thanks to Josh, to Jose, especially to Jose today, because, man,
He's working hard.
He was working hard juggling comments.
He's
there.
hearing that chicken fried rice he had earlier.
he really earned his fried rice, that's for sure. And thanks to you guys for joining us on a Saturday night and spending time with us to nerd out on all things Leica. We appreciate it. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. So thank you very much. And good night. We will see you
In a month. In a change.
in about a month and change. All right. Thanks. Take care, everybody.
Right.
Good night,
Bye-bye.
everyone.